मैकेनिकल के मिलता है।
नहीं, आवाज ठीक नहीं आ रही आपकी, उसको ठीक करिए एक बार।
हेलो।
हाँ ठीक है, नहीं आ रही।
हेलो।
हाँ अब ठीक है।
अभी ठीक है?
हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा सा जोर बोलना पड़ेगा लगता है।
हेलो।
हाँ अब ठीक है।
नहीं तो फिर वो कंटिन्यूअस बोलना है उनको, तो वो एक बार सेट हो जाए, नहीं क्या?
एक बार बोल लीजिए, कुछ बोल के देख लीजिए।
माने आप कंटिन्यूअस सेट हो जाए ना, नहीं तो कितना दिन आप पकड़ के रखेंगे हाथ में।
हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा सा जोर बोलना पड़ेगा।
हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा।
हेलो। हाँ अब ठीक।
नहीं तो फिर वो कंटिन्यूअस बोलना है, वो एक बार सेट हो जाए, नहीं क्या?
एक बार बोल लीजिए, इको क्यों हो रहा है?
माने आप कंटिन्यूअस सेट हो जाए ना, नहीं तो कितना दिन
क्या हो रहा है ये?
नहीं, यूट्यूब कोई चला के रखा है, उसी का आवाज आ रहा है। यूट्यूब यदि कोई चला के रखा है तो उसको बंद करना पड़ेगा। अपने लोग में से ही कोई चला के रखा है।
ठीक है, तो नवीन, फेयर एनफ, वी आर स्टार्टिंग। हाँ,
यस सर, प्लीज स्टार्ट।
चलिए। I welcome all my friends. A very good afternoon to all of you, because it's about noon only. So today we have a very important and very hot topic, I should say, is GST. So we have two learned and popular speakers, CA Vivek Jalanji, and in the second session after an hour, we'll be having CA Abhishek Rajaramji from New Delhi. CA Vivek ji will take up with tech invoices on GST. We are very eager to listen him. I once again welcome him on this platform. I welcome you with a namaskar, Vivek ji. I welcome all my friends, Nitesh ji, Naveen Singhal, and all others who are present.
I think there's some network issue with Saroj sir's internet. Nitesh sir?
Yes, yes. Let us wait for half a minute. Otherwise, I will start.
Yes.
With due regards and namaskar from WIRC Post Office. Nitesh ji, please continue.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Saroj ji. Friends, welcome to the today's speaker, and thanks to him that he has taken the effort for preparing the background material. Also, welcome Vivek ji. Thank you to you and your team. Friends, the background material and the draft financial statements, as well as the CARO draft CARO for a small and medium sized company, that everything is ready. We will send by mail today to the registered email ID of the participants. Friends, with these, I won't like to be between you and the speakers. Thank you everyone.
I would request Naveen Singhal ji to please formally introduce CA Vivek Jalanji.
Thank you, sir. It's my honor to introduce our learned speaker for the day. Sir's list of achievements are very long, but I will just keep it short. Sir is a CA, qualified LLM and LLB. He is the chairman of the Fiscal Affairs Committee of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, also the chairman of the Indirect Tax Core Group of CII. He is a regular columnist and guest expert for various TV channels, newspapers, and various magazines. He is the editor of weekly bulletin Tax Connect, a publication on direct taxes and indirect taxes. Sir is also a visiting faculty for various institutions. Sir has worked as a finance manager in ITC Limited. Sir has many publications to his name, which include GST pleading and practice and He is a regular speaker at various professional forums on various key areas in direct and indirect taxes, and has delivered more than hundreds of lectures on various topics under GST, customs, foreign trade policy of India, and income tax. With this, I welcome you, sir. Thank you so much. You can take over, sir. Sir, you are muted, I think so. You are not audible. Not audible, sir. Yes, sir. Now I think somebody.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay.
एक बारी में 10 टेप हुई कोई मुश्किल और ना कुछ मिला
No, sir. No sound is coming, sir. Sir, I think you can take out this headphone and again connect it.
Is it audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now it is audible?
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Okay. So possibly due to this headphone, an issue.
Yes, sir. That is why I am also not using it, sir.
Okay. So in case there is any disturbance in between, Navinji, request you to let me know so that we can do some technical adjustment.
So can you increase the volume of your phone? It might be of some help. Phone or laptop.
Laptop volume is 100%.
Okay, okay, sir. Continue.
Okay, so I will try to be loud, and thank you, Navinji, for this introduction, and thank you to Niteshji and Swaika ji for taking the pains and getting this session in a short period of time. And thank you to the entire Views Exchange team for continuously holding webinars on so many topics. In fact, this is a boon from the COVID-19 period that we are educated in so many topics, but it would not have been possible without the leadership of so many leaders like Niteshji and entire team Views Exchange. Thank you to the participants for joining on this Sunday morning. I know it's very difficult, but there are burning topics in GST, and it is a pain point in our regular practice where we have to now deal with the GST laws and the coercions, I would say sometimes, of the department on various issues, some which we can solve, some which we cannot solve. And the most burning issue nowadays is input tax credit availment. Recently, the CBIC has come out with a circular on fake invoices, circular number 171. It has clarified only one transaction in this circular, and it has left it very wide open. If you see the last paragraph, it has left it very, very wide open. It has not clarified so many issues. Participants are requested.
All the participants are requested to kindly keep themselves muted. and take care of this henceforth.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
नवीन किसी का भी होना है तो अपने को सेल्फ भी कर देना चाहिए, माने जिसका है ना अपने को इमीडिएट उसको म्यूट कर
हाँ
देना
सर,
चाहिए,
वही
वो
कर रहा हूँ
दिखेगा।
मैं सर, वही कर रहा हूँ, बट
Participant
बार
message
बार
कर रहा है,
अनम्यूट कर दे रहे हैं सर। ठीक है, मैं कर रहा हूँ सर।
हाँ माने वो ठीक है, उन लोग को तो नहीं करना चाहिए ये, वेरी बैड।
Thank you, Ji. And participants, yeah, in case you have any queries, you can, I think, with the permission of the chair, maybe you can type in the chat box and we will answer all the queries at the end of the session. So, regarding fake invoices, I have 10 examples. One of this is clarified in this circular somewhat, circular number 171. But other 9 examples, they are faced day to day by businesses, either companies which you are working in or your clients. And you as GST professionals has to face this day in, day out. Only yesterday I was in the department and one of these transactions, which is not there in this circular, and out of there it is in my 10 examples, which I myself faced, and it is a process by which we are trying to deal with these situations. But before starting, friends, on the way to deal with these issues and what is fake invoicing, I would like to mention here one point. To be cautious. And something which we had a webinar very recently with the CII, and where the Honorable Chief Commissioner Madam was there. Also from NASIN, Dr. Balbir Singh, who is the Joint Director in NASIN, he was there. They had a very important point which I think would be relevant for input tax credit availment for this entire forum. That is e-invoicing. E-invoicing compliance in the country is only 40%. So for those suppliers whose turnover is more than 20 crore rupees, they have to issue your e-invoice if you are purchasing goods or services from the suppliers. However, in case that supplier does not give you an e-invoice, then your input tax credit will not be allowed by the department going forward. And we all know that nowadays in everything, almost the department alleges fraud, suppression, misstatement, and even penalties are levied just to ensure that the actual demand amount is recovered. Therefore, this is very important for all your clients or your companies where you are working in. Please ensure that those suppliers who are required to give you an e-invoice do actually give you an e-invoice. Otherwise, under Rule 48, your input tax credit would be denied. And again, nowadays in all the transactions, any input tax credit, there is an allegation of fake invoicing, misstatement, etc. And you do not know what can come out of the imagination of a field officer. Now coming to this circular. This circular has categorized by means of an example one class of fake invoices. And it has mentioned the liabilities of the various people in the transaction. This circular 171 has specified is, say, for example, you have, say, we will come out with a live example, okay, so that it is easier to understand. Say, Naveen ji has supplied an invoice. I am telling an invoice, this is for a reason, not goods or services. So Naveen ji has given an invoice to me, Vivek, and I have given another invoice with GST to Sarojji, right? Now, the circular says that this transaction, if it is without the supply of goods or service, then it is a fake invoicing case. So Navinji has given me an invoice without the supply of any goods or service. हमने इनवॉइस ले लिया इनसे. अब मान लो हमने कच्चे में माल खरीद लिया. I have purchased the material actually in the grey market and I have supplied it to Sarojji. Now Sarojji has taken the input tax credit. I have taken the credit of Navinji's invoice, supplied the material to Sarojji, paid the GST liability with input tax credit which I have got from Navinji's invoice. Sarojji has taken input tax credit, he has also got the material. The circular has to say that only this invoice from Navinji to me, that is a fake invoicing transaction because there is no underlying supply of goods or services in that transaction. So it says, who is the main person responsible? It says, I am the main person responsible, and penalty under section 74, which is for fraud, willful suppression, or misstatement for evasion of tax. That action under section 74, what is the action? Recovery of tax, recovery of interest, recovery of demand. That will be taken, that action will be taken on me. So my maximum liability is tax amount. Say the invoice is 100 rupees plus 18 rupees of GST without the underlying supply of goods. तो मेरा liability क्या है? 18 rupees वो टैक्स मुझे गवर्नमेंट को पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि मैंने वो गलत इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लिया है. और 100% टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ 100%, काफी सारे स्लैब्स हैं वो सेक्शन 74 में. अगर इश्यू नोटिस के पहले ही मैंने पेमेंट कर दिया तो 15%, 30 दिन के अंदर पेमेंट किया तो 30%, 50% वगैरह वगैरह. तो मैक्सिमम 100% अगर मैं उसको डिमांड को रेजिस्ट करता हूं तो 100% पेनल्टी प्लस 24% पर एनम के हिसाब से इंटरेस्ट. तो ये मेरी लाइबिलिटी है, मैंने इसको पेमेंट कर दिया. माय लाइबिलिटी इज ओवर. मेरे अगेंस्ट में कोई प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं होगा अंडर सेक्शन 132. नवीन जी के ऊपर क्या एक्शन हो सकता है? हु इज सप्लाइंग द इनवॉइस, क्योंकि गुड्स तो है नहीं, गुड्स तो कहीं और से आए हैं. दे आर सेइंग दैट देयर इज नो सप्लाई एट ऑल, क्योंकि माल तो आज लेन देन हुआ नहीं. So there is no supply and therefore on him there is no penalty. Very, very weird. This is what the circular says. Now I will come to the nitty-gritties. इनके ऊपर कोई भी पेनल्टी नहीं होगा इनिशियली, बट क्या हो सकता है? अंडर सेक्शन 122(1) पेनल्टी इनके, क्योंकि ही हैज सप्लाइड द गुड्स और सर्विस, इन द इंस्टेंट केस गुड्स, without he has supplied the invoice without the supply of
removing this participant and keeping him on in the waiting room, sir. Bikram ji, sorry. Continue, sir.
So इनके ऊपर लाइबिलिटी क्या हो सकती है? 20,000 रुपीज पेनल्टी अंडर 2122(1) या फिर टू द अमाउंट ऑफ टैक्स इवेडेड। यहाँ पे टैक्स इवेडेड 18 रुपया है हमारे एग्जांपल में। हम ये कंटेन कर सकते हैं कि भाई टैक्स इवेजन तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, क्योंकि मैंने तो सप्लाई कुछ हुआ ही नहीं हमारा, राइट। अब सरोज जी के ऊपर लाइबिलिटी, हु इज द थर्ड लिंक इन द ट्रांजैक्शन, जहां इनको मटेरियल मिला है, क्योंकि मैंने मटेरियल ग्रे मार्केट में कच्चे में मैंने मटेरियल खरीद के उनको सप्लाई किया है। द सर्कुलर सेज कि अगर if there is an actual supply of goods or service, in the instant case supply हुआ है goods, so he is a bona fide recipient and there is no penalty under section 74 on him. But if he is the master, he is proved to be the ultimate beneficiary, and the word uses and, तो अगर ये ultimate beneficiary है input tax credit के, तो इनके और अगर इन प्रूव हो गया कि the transaction has happened on his instance, then there can be a penalty of 100% on him. So this is what the example which is mentioned in the circular 171, friends. अभी questions on this. सबसे पहला, what are the mechanism of taking input tax credit, and what are the conditions which the law requires me to fulfill as a recipient of goods or service? What are the conditions which the law requires me to fulfill? Number one, I should have a tax invoice. I have a tax invoice. Number two, I should have received the goods, right? In the instant case C, Saroji, यहाँ पे जो है, he has received the goods. The third party in the transaction, he has received the goods. Number three, he should have filed his return. Number four, the tax should have been paid to the government. And number five, from 1st of January 2022, that the transaction should be appearing in my GSTR to be as a recipient. So in the instant case, most of this is fulfilled. I have a tax invoice. I have seen that the transaction is appearing in my GSTR 2B because my supplier has filed his return, right? GSTR 1. I have also seen that the supplier has filed his GSTR 2B. Whether he is taking any fake credit or not, that it is impossible for me to understand. So first defense. In case I am a bona fide recipient, my first defense is, what is the machinery where the government tells me under section 16, subsection 2, clause C, to prove that to ensure that the tax has been paid to the government, what is the machinery it gives to me to ensure that I ward off my liability? Number one, I can see whether my supplier has filed his GSTR 1 or not. By way of my GSTR 2B, I have seen that. Number two, I have seen that my supplier has filed his GSTR 3B. तो अगर ये दोनों conditions मैंने fulfill कर दिए, then under section 155, very important section which was inserted in the GST law, section 155, when I am taking the input tax credit, the burden of proving that I am the correct person and I am correctly availing the input tax credit is on me. So I have proved that by seeing that my supplier has filed his GSTR 2B and he has filed his GSTR 3B, right? Next, 16(2)(b). To prove that I have actually received the goods or services. इसी में maximum disputes हो रहे हैं. ये मेरा second point है. Example, I said I will discuss 10 examples with you. 99% of the cases, it is the allegation. Naveen ji, is the sound fine?
Everything is fine, but sir, your
Sound is very low.
sound is
Pitch
coming very low. But we are trying to, all the participants are requested to pull up their volumes because of this issue.
Hello. Is it coming now?
Yes, sir, it is coming, but the volume is same.
There are so many webinars which I think, but
No problem with voice, sir. It is clear.
Actually, it depends on the laptop or the device also, which everyone is using. You can continue, sir. You can continue.
Anyway, please carry on.
okay. Because I take so many with this laptop and thing, this is the first time there is a problem. Nonetheless, let us try.
Sir, it is an end device. It is not your device, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now, the biggest problem nowadays and the biggest allegation which the department has, and I can tell you across the country, आप अगर वेस्ट बंगाल में हो, आप अगर महाराष्ट्र जाओ, हरियाणा जाओ, कर्नाटक जाओ, across the country we have faced this problem and it is the same everywhere. सबसे बड़ा इसमें जो एलिगेशन होता है कि जी आपने तो मटेरियल रिसीव नहीं किया, हम प्रूफ कर देंगे. बोले जी कैसे कर देंगे, हमारे पास क्या क्या है. तो आपको एज ए रेसिपिएंट क्या रखना चाहिए? नंबर 1, और ये जनरली मेटल बिजनेस में हो रहा है अक्रॉस द कंट्री. आप एल्यूमिनियम बोल लो, स्टील बोल लो, क्यों हो रहा है मैं वो भी बताऊंगा आपको. सबसे पहला, हमें हमारे पास टैक्स इनवॉइस होनी चाहिए. नंबर 2, हमारे पास वे बिल होनी चाहिए. नंबर 3, मेटल बिजनेस में व्हेन द मटेरियल कम्स इन योर फैक्ट्री, आपके पास कांटा स्लिप जो वे ब्रिज होती है, इसमें इतना भी हमने अपने रेसिपिएंट्स को कह दिया कि आप 2 वे ब्रिज रखो, 2 कांटा स्लिप रखो, एक खुद का, वेयर अगेन द डिपार्टमेंट माइट रिलीज दैट ओके दिस इज योर ओन वे ब्रिज, अपना कांटा स्लिप है आपका. तो आप एक फैक्ट्री के बाहर एक इंडिपेंडेंट कांटा स्लिप रखो, राइट. अभी आपने कांटा स्लिप भी रख लिया. और चौथा, आप फोटोग्राफ्स भी लेके रखो. जब ट्रक आती है, आपके व्हीकल आता है, तो आप फोटोग्राफ भी लेकर रखो. ऑल 4 एविडेंसेस इफ यू गिव, इट इज आवर रिस्पेक्टफुल सबमिशन व्हिच इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड एज पर लॉ. ये फोटो रखना और कांटा स्लिप रखना रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है, बट इफ यू गिव दिस 4 एविडेंसेस, स्टिल फ्रेंड्स इट इज आवर लीगल सबमिशन that you have warded off your liability under section 155. You have taken care of the burden of proof under 165 to ensure, to prove that you are eligible to take the input tax credit in this case. Many a times in this transaction, the allegation of this department, अभी एक समन हुआ था, तो I attended the summon in UP. तो कहते जी हमारा फास्ट ट्रैक का डेटा है, देखो आपकी ट्रक जो है यूपी से बिहार के बीच में चेक पोस्ट है, उससे गुजरी नहीं ट्रक. मैं क्या दिखाओ जी, तो दूसरे रूट का देख रहे थे. I said you please see the right route and what is the sanctity of this fast track tracking data. Let us understand the sanctity of this fast track tracking data, because अब आप कह रहे हो कि अब ये तो एकदम फिट केस है. अगर आपके फास्ट ट्रैक ट्रैकिंग डेटा में वो नहीं है और मेरा ट्रक गया है बिहार, राइट, तो ये तो एकदम प्रूव हो जा रहा है कि फास्ट ट्रैक ट्रैकिंग डेटा जो है, फास्ट ट्रैक ट्रैकिंग डेटा, दैट इज नॉट 100% reliable, like GSTR 2A was not 100% reliable in the first few years of GST. एक और चीज in this case which we had done in one of the states, we have actually done an RTI to the National Highway Authority कि जी हमें फास्टैग का डेटा दो. Let us see the FASTag data whether the truck has movement is there or not. So this is another persuasive evidence, friends. Even after these evidences, the allegation of the department may continue, and the biggest problem is that this allegation, most of it takes the form of a summon, and under the summon they do not allow the advocates to be present or the authorized representative chartered accountants to be present. But there are disciplines under summons which are laid down by the Honorable Apex Court. Summons can only be held in during office hours. ये जो शाम को 4 बजे बुला लेना, अगले दिन सुबह 6 बजे छोड़ना, this is not as per the guidelines of the summons which are there, which are laid down by the Honorable Apex Court. And in case these kind of issues happen, it is our legal submission that the Honorable High Court will provide a relief because it is against the fundamental rights as envisaged in the Constitution, and an appeal can, a writ petition can be filed before the Honorable High Court if these kind of coercive steps are taken. Another issue. Now, this is a burning issue. This second example, where there are so many allegations. This is not in the circular. This was expected to be in the circular. But what the department has done, what the council, the CBIC has done, is that it has said किसी बड़े सारे हो सकते हैं इसमें example. In the last para, you will see that they are saying that there can be many other instances of fake invoices, and which will be dealt with on the facts and circumstances of this case. They have again very intelligently inserted two important sections. Section 122, 1 capital A. Please go through this section. It says where it can be proved that the person who is claiming the input tax credit as a recipient, if it can be proved that he is the beneficiary, ultimate beneficiary of the transaction, and the transaction is done on his instance, that is, he is the mastermind of the transaction, then there can be a penalty to the extent of 100% of tax amount which can be levied on him. Not only this, under section 132, so 122 क्या कहता है? 122 penalty बोलता है, 132 उसी offense का punishment बोलता है. So if it is more than 1 crore rupees, if the department can prove that there is a tax avoidance of or evasion of more than 1 crore rupees, it might result in prosecution, detention by the department with the approval of the commissioner. So these two sections, 122 and 132, they might be invoked in any other instance. That is what the circular has said. And it is very important over here to ensure, number one, as I have said, that you have taken care of all of this. आपके पास टैक्स इनवॉइस होना चाहिए, आपके पास वे बिल होना चाहिए, आपके पास अगर पॉसिबल हो तो टाटा स्लिप होना चाहिए, अगर पॉसिबल हो तो व्हीकल का फोटो अगर आप ले सको तो वो होना चाहिए. You should have seen the सामने वाला party, he has filed his GSTR 1 back so that it appears in your GSTR 2B, the input tax credit. You should have seen whether he has filed his GSTR 3B or not, and you should have filed your return. तो अगर ये सारे आप प्रिकॉशंस, एक चेकलिस्ट बना के बड़े इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट के लिए अगर ये सारे प्रिकॉशंस आप ले लेते हो, then you have proved that you are a bona fide recipient of the certain goods or services, and then I would say that to prove that this transaction has been done at your instance by means of coercion would be very, very difficult. एग्जाम्पल बिल टू शिप टू केसेस, ये बड़ा ही क्रिटिकल होते जा रहा है अक्रॉस द कंट्री। यहाँ पे द एलिगेशंस ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट आर वेराइड। बिल टू शिप टू क्या है? मान लो आपका फैक्ट्री है वेस्ट बंगाल में, यू आर लोकेटेड इन वेस्ट बंगाल, योर सप्लायर इज लोकेटेड इन हरियाणा, योर सप्लायर इज लोकेटेड इन छत्तीसगढ़। आप वेस्ट बंगाल में हो, आपका सप्लायर हरियाणा में है, आपका सप्लायर का सप्लायर छत्तीसगढ़ में है। मटीरियल आप अपने हरियाणा पार्टी के ऊपर आप यू आर मेकिंग अ परचेज ऑर्डर, your Haryana party has made a back-to-back purchase order on Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh supplies to Haryana, Haryana supplies to West Bengal. For logistics convenience, as per section 10(1)(b) of the Integrated GST Act, IGST Act, you can do, your Chhattisgarh party can do a bill to ship to transaction. Chhattisgarh क्या करेगा? Bill to Haryana, ship to West Bengal. Haryana क्या करेगा? Bill to ship to West Bengal. You will take the input tax credit from the invoice of Haryana. Haryana will take the input tax credit from the invoice of Chhattisgarh. अभी बड़ा recent एक हमारे एक केस आया, the additional commissioner has imagined a very unique thing. वो कहता है कि हम dispute नहीं करते कि आप मटेरियल रिसीव किया, आप बड़ी कंपनी हो, आपने मटेरियल रिसीव किया है, but see your Chhattisgarh supplier, his registration has been cancelled, he is, you see, eloping. तो कह रहा है आपके सप्लायर का सप्लायर इलोप कर रहा है, वो आपका सप्लायर का सप्लायर नहीं है, वो आप ही का सप्लायर है। ऐसे सर, how are you saying this? My supplier is Haryana. I have taken the input tax credit on the basis of his bill. He said, see, that is just a fake invoice transaction. You knew that Chhattisgarh party, but you knew that Chhattisgarh party would elope. आपको पता था वो छत्तीसगढ़ पार्टी बिजनेस बंद करके भाग जाएगा, and that is why you have taken the service of this middleman, this Haryana party, जिससे आपने खाली बिल लिया है, लेकिन मटीरियल तो छत्तीसगढ़ से लिया है। You knew this transaction, and therefore I will invoke 122(1) capital A and invoke 100% liability of tax as a penalty on you. And because that way, tax amount or demand amount or penalty amount, whatever it may be, is more than rupees 1 crore, I will impose imprisonment on you. I will detain you. And because it is more than 5 crore rupees, this liability amount, it will be a cognizable and non-bailable offense under section 132. And this is the kind of imagination which the field officers are doing. However, we expected that this circular would clarify these kind of transactions, especially these bill to cases, ship to cases. However, this circular is silent, just saying that what the field officer in my example has imagined. The circular is actually ratifying this. It is saying that there can be other circumstances and it will be a fit case in case the officer can prove that you are the mastermind behind this transaction. So friends, this is the scenario which is going on, especially in bill to ship to cases. Again, as a matter of precaution, you can do only two things in these kind of cases. One, as I have explained, you should have a checklist of documents. I am again repeating, आपके पास invoice होना चाहिए, way bill होना चाहिए, टाटा slip अगर है, you should have your own way bridge slip. Try to get an independent way bridge slip. एक इंडिपेंडेंट टाटा स्लिप रखो अपनी फैक्ट्री के बाहर में, Try to take the photographs of the vehicles which has come, especially in bill to ship to cases, right? You have to ensure your supplier has filed his GSTR 1, that is आपका जो transaction है वो GSTR 2B में आना चाहिए आपका transaction. You have to ensure that your supplier has filed his GSTR 3B. Take the screenshot of that. You should have ensured that you have filed your GSTR 3B, that is your own GSTR return. These are the various precautions which you can take. However, if still the department insists on trying to prove that there is some malified intention, that it is our legal submission that you have to knock the doors of the honorable high courts in your states. There is no other option. Another big burning issue, fourth issue in my deliberations. Suppliers GSTIN cancelled ab initio. So you have received the material from your supplier, okay, say on 16th of July 2022, right? You have got an invoice of 10 crores rupees plus 1 crore 80 lakh rupees GST. So what you are doing? You are filing your GSTR 3B on 20th of August 2022. You have a tax invoice, you have received the goods. You should see that he has filed his 3B, your supplier has filed his 3B return. You have seen that the input tax credit is appearing in your 2B, and then you take the input tax credit, you have the way bill also, and you take the input tax credit and file your GSTR 3B. In the month of October 2022, you get a notice from the GST department. And on nowadays, the GST officers come to your factory premises and say, gentlemen, this 1 crore 80 lakh rupees input tax credit which you have taken, that is fake. बोले जी कैसे फेक है? बोले जी आपका जो सप्लायर है ना, उसका हमने जीएसटी नंबर कैंसिल कर दिया, वो अपना बिजनेस बंद करके भाग गया. ऐसा ही कुछ होता था सेंट्रल सेल्स टैक्स में कि सी फॉर्म आपको नहीं मिलता था, सप्लायर चला गया. इट इज नॉट समथिंग न्यू. सेंट्रल एक्साइज में भी यही होता था. So you fall out of your chair. You say, see, I have purchased, I have all the evidences. Friends, you go to the GST portal and you see that as of now, the supplier's GST number is showing as cancelled. फिर आप अपने रिकॉर्ड्स, आप अपने अकाउंट्स टीम, आप अपने जूनियर्स को बुलाते हो कि देखो जी आपने क्या क्या देखा. वो कहता है सर हमने उस समय 3B देखा. In the month of August 2022, this supplier has filed this 3B. I have the screenshot here. It is appearing in my 2B. I have my 2B of July 2022. I have tax invoice. I have filed my returns. Everything is in order. The question is whether the department can deny the input tax credit to you when your supplier's GSTIN has been cancelled ab initio. Our legal submissions are as follows. Submission number 1. I have fulfilled the conditions mentioned under section 16 subsection 2. I have got the tax invoice. I have ensured that I have received the material that can be proved by my way bill. I can be proved by my consignment note of my transporter, etc. I have ensured he has filed his 1. It is appearing in my 3B. I have ensured that he has filed his 3B return. I have filed my own 3B return. I have fulfilled all my conditions. The Honorable High Court of Calcutta, in the case of LGW Industries, this very, very important and very, very beautiful judgment, which was pronounced by the Honorable High Court at Calcutta. It says that it bifurcates the suppliers of your supplier in 2 parts. The suppliers which were rendered before the cancellation of the supplier's GSTIN, the suppliers which have been made after the cancellation of your supplier's GSTIN. For those suppliers which have been made by your suppliers before his GSTIN has been cancelled, the recipients are bona fide. You, in this case, is a bona fide recipient who has availed the input tax credit complying with section 16(2). Your input tax credit cannot be denied by the department. तो आप ये देख लो कि आपका जो रिसीव्ड है, your receipt is when? Is it before cancellation of the supplier GSTIN or after cancellation? If it is before cancellation, then the department cannot deny the input tax credit. If it is after the GSTIN has been cancelled of the supplier, then the input tax credit can be denied to you. It was also held similarly by the Honorable High Court of Odisha in the case of Bright Star Industries. वहां पे तो एक स्टेप आगे चला गया डिपार्टमेंट. Department cancelled the GSTIN of the recipient also. Because the GSTIN of the supplier was cancelled, the Honorable High Court of Odisha, it laid down in this judgment of Bright Star that the department cannot, and Rule 21 does not give the power to the department to cancel the recipient's GSTIN because his supplier's GSTIN has been cancelled. Until the department proves 122(1)(a), that is the principles in the 122(1)(a) that the recipient is the mastermind of the transaction. So this is a very, very important judgment. In the case of Delhi VAT, erstwhile Vegite, it was held by the Honorable Apex Court in the case of Arise India Limited and others, that the doctrine of impossible performance guards the recipient in these cases. It is impossible for the recipient to see more than the supplier has filed his 3B and he has filed his GSTR 1. More than this, the law does not give the machinery to the recipient to see in this case, and therefore the doctrine of impossible performance you can take shelter under as a bona fide recipient. The Honorable Apex Court also laid down another important doctrine. The doctrine of treating a bona fide recipient unequally with the nulla fide recipient. If the department cannot prove, if the department has no reason to believe that you are a nulla fide recipient, then you have to be treated unequally on the basis of Article 14 of the Constitution of India with the nulla fide recipient. right? So two important doctrines you can take shelter under: doctrine of impossible performance, doctrine of treating unequally with the nullified recipient. On the basis of the Honorable Apex Court's decision in the case of Arise India Limited and others. Next, fifth issue or sixth issue. L2 suppliers. The department in many of the cases, the field officers, what they do, say, as again in my example, you have purchased from A and A has purchased from B. Suppose B has taken a fake invoice, the department comes to A हाथ खड़ा कर देता है, A does not pay the amount of demand or tax. So the department comes to you as a final beneficiary, but ladies and gentlemen, please note, the department cannot come to a L2 recipient. If your L2 supplier has defaulted just because your L1 supplier, that is your immediate supplier, has not paid the amount of demand, the department does have to prove, number one, that you are the ultimate beneficiary, but it also has to prove that the transaction was done at your instance, that is, you are the mastermind of the transaction. So both these conditions are important to be fulfilled. Only one condition is fulfilled, then our legal submission is that the department cannot come to an L2 recipient. The Honorable seventh example. What about your recipient, your own supplier? If your own supplier has defaulted in payment of tax, say your own supplier, while filing his GSTR 3B, now in GSTR 3B is just a figure, right? Your input tax credit in GSTR 3B is just one figure, unlike VAT. It is just like central excise. Now they are trying to, have the invoice-wise backup in GSTR 3B with this amendment which is there, which is for public comments. GSTR 3B, the new GSTR 3B, which will come in some time. Abhi kya hai? GSTR 3B input tax credit is just a figure. So what your supplier, your own immediate supplier, अब मैं L2 में नहीं जा रहा. Your own immediate supplier has filed in GSTR 3B, but he has put in a wrong figure and availed a wrong input tax credit which he has no backup. Department will allege that since your supplier has defaulted, tax has not been paid to the government, so under section 16 subsection 2 clause C, you will be denied input tax credit. I think, yeah, thanks. In this, our respectful submission, in addition to what I have stated earlier, are as follows. Number one, the Honorable High Court of Madras, in the case of the DY Bethel Enterprises versus State Commissioner, has held that in case your supplier is existent, अगर आपका supplier existent है, then the department cannot come directly to you. It has mandatorily to go to your supplier. In that case, which we have similar case which we have fought in the state of Maharashtra. Supplier क्या था? Husband and wife. Husband का नाम था Charles, wife का नाम था Sharti. You know, GST law, it gives you a Hindi movie entertainment some of the times. You please go through this case law. It is a beautiful Hindi movie. So this Charles or Shanti, they are existent. चार्ल्स हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हो गया, शांति अब उसके नाम पे बिजनेस कर रही है, उसकी वाइफ मैसेज किए जा रही है सारे कस्टमर्स को कि जी हमसे मान लो, टेक मटेरियल फ्रॉम मी. And I told you in the beginning of this webinar, I will tell you why these transactions are happening. Now this guy Charles and Shanti, they are supplying material which are hot cakes. Why hot cake? 5% डिस्काउंट में सप्लाई कर रहा है बंदा. क्यों? क्योंकि उसने इनपुट उसमें टैक्स, उसने 18 में से 9 रुपए टैक्स पेमेंट करना है, 9 रुपए नहीं करना है. उसमें से 5% वो कस्टमर को पास ऑन कर देता है. 6 महीने बाद डिपार्टमेंट उसके बाद रेड करता है, तो तक गेम इज ओवर. तो 4 रुपए का नेट प्रॉफिट, दिस 4 rupees can become 400 crores. This is the kind of hot cake which is material is there in the market. So customers, you know, it is a competitive market. 1-2% का business होता है. So instead of 5% discount, I am getting input material. So ले लो जी, ले लो. Now Charles and Shanti, they are in existence. The department is coming directly to the recipient. The Honorable High Court of Madras has said that the department cannot come directly to a recipient. It has to go first and interrogate Charles and Shanti, that is the malafide suppliers, and only if they are not existent, if they are found to be insolvent or such cases, as per the CBIC's own press release dated 3rd of May 2018. As per the CBIC's own press release dated 3rd May 2018, the department cannot come directly to a recipient and deny the input tax credit or recover the input tax credit. So friends, these DY Beetle Enterprises, Arise India Limited, LGW Industries was reiterated in the case of Sanchita Kundu, Bright Star Alliances Industries, Odisha High Court. All of these high courts are very, very clear that in case it is, you can prove that it is impossible for me to do anything more, doctrine of impossible performance will come and guard you. Another important, if you see section 42, subsection 3, in case of mismatch also, many a times you will see that the department as of now also, in one of the states, we are, you know, arguing a matter. डिपार्टमेंट कहता है जी जीएसटीआर 2B और 2A और 3B में मिसमैच है. Please note that the Honorable Apex Court in the case of Bharti Airtel in 2020 December, while it was a negative judgment for Bharti Airtel, but if you see the judgment, the Honorable Apex Court has laid down a cardinal principle. It has answered a cardinal question that before December 2020, you could take input tax credit on the basis of your purchase register if you have complied with all the conditions under section 16, subsection 2. GSTR 2A before December 2020 is just for facilitation. So friends, in these kind of cases, you can take the shelter under Bharti Airtel judgment. Although this original judgment was for some other 3B amendment matter, but The Honorable Apex Court, while pronouncing this judgment, has mentioned that input tax credit before December 2020 could be taken on the basis of your purchase register if you have a valid purchase invoice and you have made the payment through bank account. So this is a very, very important. You can take shelter under these judgment and you can put up these arguments before the field formations in such cases where these fake invoices are alleged, fake invoicing, fake credit are alleged by the field officers. However, there are few cases where there is some kind of ignorance. You see, around 2 years back, one of my very, very large clients, his CFO calls me. तो कहते हैं कि विवेक जी हमारा एक बिजनेस में एक पार्टनर है, वो अरेस्ट हो गया दिल्ली में. उसने कुछ फ्रॉड भी नहीं किया तो भी अरेस्ट हो गया. मैं क्या सर कैसे बताओ केस क्या है? बोला यार उसने अपनी 4-5 कंपनी फॉर्म कर दी. अब उसको बैंक में टर्नओवर दिखाना था. उसने एक कंपनी से दूसरी कंपनी में सर्कुलर ट्रांजैक्शन जस्ट दिखाया अपनी बुक्स में. क्यों? क्योंकि उसे हर कंपनी में टर्नओवर बढ़ाना था. लेकिन हर कंपनी में उसने जीएसटी का कैश में पेमेंट किया और जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट को कोई नुकसान भी नहीं है. लेकिन इसके बाद भी अरेस्ट कर लिया जी उन्होंने. बोला कि विवेक जी ये तो आप केस लोगे. सर मैं नहीं लूंगा केस. बोला क्यों? ये तो ओपन एंड सेट केस है. I said, sir, it is not possible. You see, friends, this was done by one entrepreneur, large entrepreneur, whose turnover was more than 1,000 crores. This is covered under section 132 of the CGST Act, where there is a supply of invoice without supplying of goods. It is not important that जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट को कोई लॉस हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, बट यहाँ पे सप्लाई हुआ है इनवॉइस का विदाउट सप्लाइंग ऑफ अंडरलाइंग गुड्स, एंड दिस इज अ प्योर फेक इनवॉइस ट्रांजैक्शन वेयर फेक क्रेडिट हैज बीन पास्ड ऑन फॉर व्हाटएवर रीजन इट माइट बी. So friends, please be careful and please educate your clients. Sometimes by ignorance, the taxpayers indulge in these kind of transactions where they have to be careful. However, ignorance is not a valid defense. And अगर 1 करोड़ के ऊपर आप ट्रांजैक्शन जीएसटी का इम्पैक्टफुल ट्रांजैक्शन कर देते हैं, then maybe by ignorance, but you are liable to be detained and prosecuted. If the value goes above 5 crores, then it is a cognizable and a non-bailable offence under section 132 of the CGST Act. Similarly, friends, my 9th example. Many a times what happens, one of the branches of a company, say your company is registered in many states or you have many group companies, एक कोई GSTIN में you have excess input tax credit, and in the other GSTIN you have high output tax liability. Every businessman would want कि चलो जी एडजस्ट करने का मुझे उपाय बताओ. Many a times, due to a rush of blood or due to ignorance, now after the GST law is 5 years old or more than 5 years old, There cannot be any ignorance. So I would say it is a rush of blood. A transaction is done, whereby it is called you raise a service bill. Service क्या है? Business auxiliary service. Business auxiliary service. What is the service, gentlemen? मैंने कुछ भी कर दिया, हमने उसका बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट बना दिया, 10 करोड़ का बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट बना दिया. Yeah. You can hire the best of chartered accountants. They will take 1 crore rupees. 10 करोड़ यहाँ पे आपने खुद का एम्प्लॉय को डाला और बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट बनाया. So these kind of transactions are also fake. Many a times, because services are intangible, cannot be seen, cannot be felt, there is a transfer of service, which we call transfer of service, to liquidate the input tax credit. However, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fit case of fake invoicing, because there is no underlying supply of goods or service. As a corollary to this, many a times we do cross-charging. This may not be a fake invoice case, but just comes to my mind. Because many of the large companies are also indulging in this. When we do their audit, GST audit of their books of accounts, we always advise them. वो कहते हैं कि हम क्रॉस चार्ज कर देंगे. कहते जी कहाँ लिखा है, कहाँ ये डिफिनेशन है क्रॉस चार्ज का? बोला नहीं, इंडस्ट्री प्रैक्टिस है. मतलब क्या क्रॉस चार्ज करोगे जी? बोला जी हमारा ये जो ऑडिट फीस है, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर ने हमको जो फीस दिया है वो एचओ में लिया है हमने, अब हम क्रॉस चार्ज करेंगे. जी क्रॉस चार्ज माने मतलब हम एचओ में उसको लेंगे, मतलब मान लो 10 लाख प्लस 1,80,000 जीएसटी और 1-1 लाख रुपया हमारा 10 ब्रांच में हम डिवाइड करके अपने एचओ से हम उसको बिलिंग कर देंगे. I said, sir, are you a GST auditor? Are you a statutory auditor? No, but I have taken the services of a statutory auditor. I said, are you a statutory auditor? No. I said, your input tax credit of your branch will be denied because that is a faulty supply of service. So do not indulge in this. On the contrary, एक और गलती करते हैं हम काफी बार, that in case like you take the services of this auditor, statutory auditor, और अगर आपका एचओ बंगाल में है, आपके 10 और ब्रांचेस है, आप सारा का सारा इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ऑफ द सर्विसेज ऑफ द स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर वो आप वेस्ट बंगाल में ही क्रेडिट ले लेते हो. फ्रेंड्स, दिस विल बी डिनाइड. Because this auditor, statutory auditor renders the service not only to West Bengal but to all the 10 states. वो सबका books of accounts audit कर रहा है. So what is the solution? हमने कहा सर problems तो इतना बता दिया. Solution: input service distributor registration. Input service distributor registration is mandatory for every taxpayer which is registered in multiple states and has GSTIs in multiple states. Mandatory ऐसा, because there would be some or the other service which is a common service like statutory auditor. हर एक कंपनी का statutory auditor होना ही है. वो सिर्फ एक्चुअल में बिल नहीं डाल सकता. He has to give 10 different bills for each GSTI, or you have to take it in ISD and distribute it. Friends, my 10th and last issue and example. Before, I think there are various queries in the chat box. With the chair's permission, we can take up those queries. कल की ओर क्या काम है इसमें? जीएसटी कल की ओर. राइट? हमारे CS सर्कल में उतना चलता नहीं है, बट व्हेन यू आर deliberating before industry, स्लोगन वर्क्स। तो स्लोगन कल की ओर, सेक्शन 38 सबसेक्शन 2 clause B sub clause Roman 2 38 to B2, which has been enacted by Finance Act 2022, but it will be notified very soon after receiving the assent of 50% of the state legislatures. 32 38 to B2 क्या कहता है? Whenever this is notified, friends, in case your supplier has a mismatch between his 3B and 1, your input tax credit may be denied. Under section 16(2) clause small ba. आप इसको पढ़ लीजिएगा फ्रेंड्स। जब ये नोटिफाई होगा, इट विल क्रिएट अ बिग इशू। ऐसे ही ऐसा इतना बड़ा इश्यूज है जीएसटी में। 16(2)(ba read with section 32, 38 to B2. This is GST कल की ओर। So now friends, how the ministry is going, and you can speak to any field officer, you can speak to the CBIC board officials also. They will all tell, कि कुछ भी हो, अगर हमारा टैक्स नहीं मिलेगा हमें, we will ensure by whatever means possible that the tax is recovered from somebody or the other. किसी ना किसी को तो जी पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा। So various sections are being introduced, and friends, it is very important to protect ourselves, to protect our clients from the rigors of the law. We ensure vendor due diligence. ये बड़ा important area है। Vendor से जब आप माल खरीद रहे हो, when you are taking goods or services from your vendors, please ensure due diligence. Tell your clients to ensure due diligence. Due diligence क्या है? आप अपने वेंडर का एग्जिस्टेंस है कि नहीं, वो प्लीज आप चेक करो। बिल टू शिप टू केसेस में बी केयरफुल that your vendor is not indulging in certain wrong transactions. Your vendor's vendor, L2 vendor, is not a fake vendor which has been created an instance of your own supplier. So existence check करना बड़ा जरूरी है। On day before yesterday, with these changes which has come in GSTR 3B and so many changes notified by the GST Council 47th meeting, I was taking a session for a few of my large clients. They said, sir, ये जो बिल टू शिप टू केसेस में होते हैं, तो हम अपने L2 वेंडर का कैसे देखें? हमें तो पता भी नहीं रहता है। हमारा जो सप्लायर है वो कहता है जी माल लेना है लो, नहीं लेना मत लो। हम अपने सप्लायर का आपको नहीं बताएंगे क्योंकि आप डायरेक्ट उससे हो जाओगे। I said, then please ensure that your directors are aware that tomorrow there can be a 18% liability. आज 5% सेव कर ले जाओगे, tomorrow there might be an 18% liability and all profits will be wiped off and your entire business might be closed due to this faulty transaction. So then with this, I think we have discussed many examples, and over to Naveen ji if we can take certain queries.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we have some questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
So, sir, I am reading out the questions. Whether, sir, Kaushal ji has asked whether 2B is dynamic, as in few cases we have seen that while filing few transactions, there were once the registration of supplier is cancelled, it gets disappeared from 2B. If it is dynamic with no audit trail, then I think we will have to keep the 2B soft copy also for the date of filing. Sir, he's asking whether it is dynamic or static. It is static, but he's asking that it gets disappeared after the supplier's GST IN gets cancelled.
2B is not dynamic, 2B is static. At least it is notified in that way that it is static, so that you can prove tomorrow. But this, in case the supplier's GSTN is cancelled, we have not come across this kind of case. It should be static. However, we always suggest that you keep a copy of the GSTN to be month on month. When you are taking the input tax credit, you never know, because there is, in addition to GST law, there is GST network law, and they go by their own, issues. So it is always a good idea to keep the GSTR to be copied.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Jogiraj Das ji. So how to confirm that vendors charged correct GST rate in their invoice for any specified products, as the different product may have different tax rates based on the description, and rates are continuously changing in different GST council meeting. So that he has to keep a track of it.
Yeah, it is a good question. In fact, when GST came, 2017, some large companies, they were misclassifying. I still remember one of our clients, it was purchasing क्या कहते हैं मोबाइल का जो पावर बैंक होता है, they were purchasing mobile power banks from very large company, and they were classifying mobile power banks as lithium ion battery. I said, sir, ये तो गलत कर रहा है. Lithium ion battery is just a battery. A mobile power bank is a lithium ion battery which is covered by a cage. उसके ऊपर का जो cover है, lithium ion battery is covered by a cage, that makes it a mobile power bank. So it can be not change of rates, but it can be a mixed classification by your supplier. So number one, in case your supplier does a classification error and he charges a wrong rate of tax, are you liable to pay the GST, differential GST? It has been held by various court judgments that you are not, as a recipient, responsible for a wrong GST rate which is charged by your supplier. However, in case your supplier goes missing after charging you a wrong GST rate, then the department might come up to you under 122(1)(a), etc., etc. So therefore, आपको अब classify करना पड़ेगा. अगर कोई vendor आपको doubtful लगता है, you ensure that he charges the right rate of GST, because he has nothing to lose. आप उसको कहो कि यार सही rate GST charge करो और हमसे लो. But if a vendor is a normal vendor and he is misclassifying, you are not liable. However, as a matter of precaution, you can write a letter to him that as per us, this should be the classification, this should be the rate. You are not charging the right rate, right? I think I will go one step ahead in this. A query which is asked is ये हम क्या करें? हम मान लो ट्रेडर हैं, हम सिर्फ माल लेके कर बेचते हैं. Should I charge what my vendor has charged, or should I charge the right GST rate? I would say you charge the right GST rate. After giving a letter to your vendor, you charge the correct GST rate. In that case, your liability is taken care of.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Jogiraj ji has another question, sir. What is fuzzy matching program and AP automation software, and how these are effective tools in order to prevent invoice fraud in company?
Fuzzy matching program, AP automation software. Actually, I am over here. I am not aware of the nomenclature of these softwares. However, DGARM in Connaught Place, they have formed a new department, the Director General of Analytical Risk Management. They are taking the help of various software devices to track fraudulent invoices. ये क्या होता है? ये trail checking करता है. जैसे अभी you might have handled cases of risky exporters. In case you are tagged as a risky exporter, you are tagged as a risky taxpayer. Why? Because somewhere down the line, आपका supplier का supplier, so L2, L3, L4, कहीं down the line, one of your supplier is risky, so you are also tagged as risky. They track the chain of the entire transaction. This is done by DGARM, possibly if you are referring to this.
I think the question stands answered. So the next question is from Vivek ji, that superintendent denied ITC of GST on imports despite submitting BOE. Search BOE options does not fetch data from IceGate. Please suggest case law to defend this order before appellate authority.
Yeah. So case laws offhand, I am not having. However, this is a fit case. We are doing the same. In case you have your bill of entry, you have received the goods only because of the fault of the software of IceGate or of the GST portal, your input tax credit cannot be denied. You can take the credit as per your bill of entry. 3 months back, incidentally, I am also the member of the State Grievance Redressal Committee of the GST Council in the state of West Bengal, where the state commissioner as well as the central commissioner, they are there. The GST network's vice president, Mr. Rastogi, was also there. We have put this up 3 months back before him, and he said they are aware of this kind of system glitches and they are trying to resolve it. So we have also put up an official through the Chambers of Commerce. We have put up an official request that is minuted also in the Grievance Redressal Council's minutes, and that removal of difficulty or some order should come, but nothing has come. So while there is, as of now, I don't have a case law. However, what we would suggest, you should always, before taking the credit, you should write a mail to your charge officer. The gentlemen, this is the problem. We are going ahead with taking the credit. That can come as your evidence, and our submission is that you should get a relief at the appropriate forum on this.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Chandra Jain. If party supply goods and in GSTR1 mentioned reverse charge applicable, how to justify to department? I think in GSTR1, the supplier must have ticked on RCM, and the department is now asking for tax from the recipient now.
See, there are 2 things. Okay. Number 1, if he has ticked the RCM applicable, okay, he might not have paid the tax to the department, right? However, just because he has wrongly ticked RCM applicable, therefore, you cannot be held to be made liable to pay the tax amount. Or you cannot be made liable to, pay the penalties, etc. However, what your liability is not to take the input tax credit. You cannot take the input tax credit for the same because your to-be will reflect accordingly. Therefore, after being aware that this was a mistake and the tax has not been paid to the department, you are debarred under section 16(2)(c) from taking the input tax credit. If you have taken the input tax credit, then of course you have to reverse until unless you write to your supplier, he makes a DRC in this case and intimates the department.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Binoji is asking, sir, tax invoice issued as cash without noting name of buyer. Is there any cash limit even in the case of B2C? Will invoices issued in cash B2B without having name and address will be treated as fake invoices?
Actually, the query is not very, this case has to be more analyzed. You have to see cash or non-cash. That is something which income tax will take care of by allowing or disallowing. You have to see you have a tax invoice. Whether you have a valid tax invoice, where your recipient's name and address is not mentioned, then it is not a valid tax invoice. If the GSTIN, if your GSTIN is also not mentioned, then of course it is not a valid tax invoice. B2B or B2C, you will not be able to take the input tax credit. But say if your name and address is not mentioned, your GSTIN is mentioned, it is appearing in your 2B. But I think B2C cases, it will not appear in your 2B. So if it does not appear in your 2B, then it is gone. Now 16(2) condition is not fulfilled, you will not get the input tax credit.
So the questions list is getting longer and longer, sir. With your permission, can I take the last question? Or
Sure,
yes.
I think our next speaker would also be here.
Yes, sir. Abhishek sir has also joined, sir. So the last question I will take from MD Bajlul ji. Sir, how far these judgments are applicable or useful after the amendment that only ITC reflect in 2B will be allowed? How to defend the SSC?
So, as I said, you have to divide the entire GST period into 2 periods. 1st July 2017 to 31st of December 2021. That is the period before 2B came all officially under 16(2), right? Till 31st December 2020, all of these judgments are applicable where it even does not reflect in your 2B or 2A. After 1st January 2022, they are not applicable to that extent.
Okay, sir. And sir, I think one very important question which Pavanji has asked, that if the forest department is auctioning seized vehicle, trucks, tractor to registered person as well as unregistered person, asking to people to deposit GST and show the challan, how GST will be paid by unregistered person, and what is the remedy to deposit the GST? How can GST be paid by unregistered person? So that is his question, and I think it shall be the last question.
Yeah. So in this case, this is the problem with every government department, because tax has to be paid on RCM basis for government departments. So in case of unregistered person, you can pay through temporary GST registration. That I think could be a solution to the unregistered tax payment. There is an option where as an unregistered person, you get a temporary GSTIN, just like you pay tax in case of vehicle detention cases. In this case also you can pay and give the DRC challan.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, are you staying there till the end?
Actually, I have another meeting. I will stay for some time and be enriched by Mr. Abhishek's deliberations.
Naveen, please offer him a vote of thanks before he leaves.
Yes, yes, that is why I was asking.
Abhishek starts, we can't. So please offer him a vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. In spite being a Sunday and so many sound issues, we had 140 plus participants. Vivek sir is such an inspiration and has beautifully covered so many aspects: doctrine of impossibility, section 42(3), issues under section 38(16) to BA, the CBIC press release dated 18th of October 2018, which says that 2A is simply a facilitation. Section 132 of the CGST Act, section 10(1) of IGST Act, relating to POS cases of Bharti Airtel, Arise India Limited, Bright Star Plastic, DY Bethel, LGW Industries. Thank you so much, sir, for your deliberation, and we are looking ahead to see you again and again on this platform. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and giving us your insights. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Naveen ji.
Thank you, sir.
Saroj ji, you are here, and
Now
welcome
I
to our
welcome-
next speaker.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I being the convener, Saroj, I can now welcome Abhishek Rajaji, entirely from New Delhi, who had been waiting since pretty good time. So I welcome you, sir, on Views platform today. So he's a very popular person as far as GST is concerned. He, I think, do not require introduction, but since as a matter of protocol, I am adding few lines for your updation. He is practicing CA from Delhi. He has written few books on GST, and he had been a special invitee for 21-22 for ICI GST committee, and for 22-23 is a co-opted member for NIRC IDT committee, and many more credentials to his credit. I'm not saying all those things. With this, I welcome sir on Views. The session, the entire platform is yours, sir. We are looking forward towards you. Thank you, sir. Please.
Good morning. Special morning to Vivek Jalan, sir, whom I idolize, especially after his GST से पहले भी एक बुक पढ़ी थी, and now with pleading and मतलब 2 वॉल्यूम में जो किताब है, that is गागर में सागर type of thing. प्रणाम to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. मतलब सौभाग्य है सर आपको सुनने का मौका मिला.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So my topic of discussion is limited to GST scrutiny norms. If we get time, we will cover audits also, and audits are more or less same only. The procedures and these all things remain same. But so first question to everyone is that how much we are prepared for GST audits. ऐसा क्वेश्चन चैट मैसेंजर में yes no बता दीजिए. Reason for asking this question is आप लोगों का मुझे नहीं पता, बट मेरे को जीएसटी ठीक से नहीं आता था 2017 में. आज भी थोड़ा थोड़ा आता है, और जो आता था वो अभी जीएसटी काउंसिल की जो मीटिंग में इतने सारे नोटिफिकेशन आए, मैं खुद भूल गया हूँ, बहुत कंफ्यूज हो गया हूँ इतने सारे रेट नोटिफिकेशन के बाद. अभी तक मुझसे समराइज नहीं हुए. 2017 में तो और बुरा हाल था, और जो मैंने रिटर्न फाइलें करी हैं स्पेशली फॉर जुलाई टू सितंबर 3 महीने की, वो मैंने बहुत सारी गलत फाइल करी है. मुझे नहीं पता था निल रेटेड और जीरो रेटेड में क्या फर्क है. मैंने एग्जेम्प्ट में कई बार निल रेटेड दिखा दी, जीरो रेटेड को मैंने एग्जेम्प्ट के कॉलम में डाल दिया है. मैंने और भी गलतियां करी हैं, जैसे मैंने अपने क्लाइंट्स का जीएसटी नंबर आइस गेट पर अपडेट नहीं करवाया, तो 2017-18 के इश्यूज आ रहे हैं. और मैंने काफी लोगों के क्वेश्चंस देखे, सर ने भी कवर करे हैं फॉर 2017-18 एंड 18-19. बहुत सारा क्रेडिट है जो जीएसटी 2 में नहीं दिख रहा. एंड इफ यू रिमेंबर योर टाइम पीरियड ऑफ 2017-18, दैट वाज अ टाइम, स्पेशली फर्स्ट 2-3 months, वेयर फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न वाज एन अचीवमेंट. रिटर्न फाइल करने का अचीवमेंट होता था जुलाई टू प्रोबेबली सितंबर अक्टूबर. उस पीरियड में रिटर्न में क्या गया है वो एक सेपरेट मैटर है, और वो हमने भी वापस जाकर चेक नहीं करा कि क्या लिखा है. सो विद दिस बैकग्राउंड, एमडी वैसल सर आप और मैं, वी आर इन द सेम बोट, सेलिंग इन द सेम बोट. सो व्हाटएवर वी हैव फाइल्ड इन 2017-18, एंड दैट टाइम व्हेन वी वर फाइलिंग रिटर्न्स, उस समय तो ये था फाइल कर दो बाद में देख लेंगे. So when we filed a return and with the thought process कि बाद में देख लेंगे, today GST scrutiny and audits are the day, वो बाद में देखने वाला टाइम आज आ गया. And on a lighter note, not specifically per se, it's my personal opinion, I might be wrong, totally wrong. There are 4 types of GST laws prevalent in India. 4. One is as per the books, law books. Second is as per the portal. Third is what the department officer understands. And the fourth one is what our client understands. And normally returns are filed as per the understanding of the client. And now we have to defend those returns before assessing officer or the proper officer. The technical name could be proper officer. Now, what we have filed. See, एक example बताता हूँ आपको. You might appreciate it. For 1780, for example, we were filing annual return. We were doing audit, GST audit, and we found one of the bill missing from outward supplies. We pointed out to our clients, sir, you have forgot this invoice on which you have not paid the taxes. Now what he would have said, see sir, I agree कि मैंने invoice पर tax pay नहीं करा, but to appreciate, there was a supply invoice in corresponding to this also. And if you are asking me to pay taxes on this invoice, please give me credit of that input also. Now you would have said to him, for 1718 or 1819, it could be, I will restrict my discussion for these 2 years. Sir, now the credit for these invoices are time barred as per section 16 subsection 4. Therefore, you are not allowed to take credit of this. But what your client would have said, sir, अभी तो credit दिलवा दो, tax दे रहा हूं, बाद में देख लेंगे. And we would have accepted it. If we were not signing audits, we would have generally accepted it, and we have given him the credits and paid the net taxes. And then on today, when we receive a scrutiny notice or the audit party comes, then with that day he has said कि sir जब notice आएगा, जब कोई आएगा तब देख लेंगे, तो वो आज देखने का time आ गया. Now how we have to handle these kind of things? These would be. So with this background, I repeat my question again. Anyone can answer in the chat box. If you are actively listening, whether we are 100% prepared to handle scrutiny or audits or not. कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं हो रहा, आप रिप्लाई कर सकते हैं yes no, not applicable भी कर सकते हैं. Thank you. At least someone has replied. So with this background, thank you for your replies, Manoj, Preeti, and Preeti ji and Vikas ji. Let's move forward. So the first discussion on scrutiny came in the popular field that when Preeti ji, you are correct. Not sure how much data seems to be correct as per the officer. And in fact, if we step into the shoes of the officer, then we might not accept our own returns of 2017-18, which we have filed in initial 2-3 months. Thank you, Vinod ji. So then CBIC circular came in March, and then everyone came to know that scrutiny would be there. And this CBIC instruction is applicable for all assessees pan India registered with CBI Central. Then why this circular came? GST scrutiny should have been done online without manual intervention, because the data was feeded as such in initial period. The online module couldn't accept all the things. Therefore, these norms which we would be discussing are applicable only for these 2 years. And from third year, from 1920, 17, 18, 18, 19 would be by manual one, and from 1920 it would be the online one. Then we went behind that whether someone has issued such scrutiny norms. Then we found that Maharashtra has issued scrutiny norms in January. Then before that, Kerala has issued a circular in November. And then Tamil Nadu has issued a SOP for maybe 1.5 page. This was SOP for scrutiny of the norm for Tamil Nadu circular. Now, when we go to Tamil Nadu circular, when you read this SOP issued by Tamil Nadu in October 2021, was only 1.5 page. Opening one was addressing to the person, and at end of it to this person, CC. It has mentioned only the section and the rule under which scrutiny has to be done. Now, even if they would have not issued any norms, then also scrutiny would have done under this section and rules only. Now, when they issued this SOP, they didn't put anything in it except this. And that's why they had to issue further circulars later on. We will come to that also while discussing. And the last one was Haryana Scrutiny Manual, which is a very lengthy one of 70 pages. Now we are discussing the central one, how this works. So the software would be sending a list of parties to the DGRM. Jogiraj, I would be going through this maybe after 15 minutes. Don't worry. So, so the software would be sending a list of the parties from where recovery could be done through them. And then DGRM would send this to nodal officer, and then nodal officer would, within 3 days, they will shortlist the parties or bifurcate the parties as per the jurisdiction, and they will mark it to the superintendent. Superintendent will do their preliminary scrutiny, and after permission from ACDC, they will send notice for scrutiny, ASMT 10. And then ACDC will make a register of this, and they will send other details to Director General of the GST, and then they would be sending it to the topmost, and this would go to the topmost level. And with the permission, they would be sending this notice to the registered person. Before sending notice, they will not update a registered person on anything, and they will try to do homework from their end. They will try to do whatever recovery they could do, calculate the recovery portion and where are the discrepancies, and they would communicate in ASMT 10. Now, there could be 4 things which after receipt of notice, this person can do. The reply from this person would be in ASMT 11. And after receipt of ASMT 11, department will issue ASMT 12, the order. बड़ा सिंपल है, 3 ही फॉर्म है. नोटिस आएगा स्क्रूटनी का ASMT 10 में. You will, the registered person will reply in ASMT 11, and ASMT 12 will be passed. Very simple. Procedure is very simple. Now we come to this. What all things this person can do after receipt of notice, ASMT 10. Now, there could be 4 outcomes. First is, they have sent a demand notice of 100 rupees. Registered person accepts it. This 100 rupees is genuine. I had done a mistake, or due to error or omission, I forgot to pay taxes on this of 100 rupees. And now I am willing to pay this 100 rupees. And he paid the taxes, 100 rupees. Along with interest, scrutiny is over. Scrutiny notice for 100 rupees, person accept 100 rupees, pays 100 rupees. Scrutiny over, 0 recovery order, matter closed. Now he received a notice of 100 rupees, but he says, okay, I agree, you have sent me a notice of 100 rupees, but 40 rupees are the genuine, and 60 rupees is a mistake on which I am not liable to pay taxes. For example, this 60 rupees could be, he has picked all the things from your GST, from your income tax return, and he has found income from house property in your GST return, income tax return, and that is 60 rupees. Now, this was see, you are in West Bengal, Kolkata. For example, this 60 rupees is a commercial property which the person owns, is located at Jharkhand. And on this 60 rupees, he has paid taxes in Jharkhand. He has paid taxes in Jharkhand. Now you could reply that this 60 rupees taxes are already paid in Jharkhand, and now 0 taxes paid. With your satisfactory reply, you accept 40 rupees, you pay 40 rupees, you counter 60 rupees as the taxes was paid in other state. GST department will accept it and they will drop scrutiny on it. Matter closed. Third part, 100 rupees. 100 rupees. Now this 100 rupees was from income from house property, but there were 2 properties. The 60 rupees property was in Jharkhand. 60 rupees property was in Jharkhand, the commercial let out, on which you had paid amount in Jharkhand. Now remaining 40 rupees was a residential house property, which was in Kolkata itself. On that 40 rupees, no tax was paid. And you replied with all the details. Department accepts it. Department accepted because all the taxes have not been paid and the scrutiny is dropped. Now, in this case, you have not paid any taxes. For 100 rupees, you have counted that 60 rupees was the tax which has been paid in Jharkhand. 40 rupees was the residential house property, which is out of preview of GST, and no GST has to be paid. Matter close. So these are 3 outcomes. Now coming to 4th outcome. The person receives notice from department and he doesn't reply to notice at all. There could be many reasons for non-replying. A most probable reason would be that he would have missed the notice, or there was no understanding. He was unable to understand what this notice means, or it could be any other reason. So what he did, he didn't reply to the notice. Now, ideally, department should give you 30 days time for replying to the notice. If they provide you less time, okay, statement में देखते हैं. So after 30 days, if you have not replied to the notice, then in next 15 days, 30 plus 15 days, department can pass their assessment order against you, and they can proceed for best judgment assessment. Now, let's use the chat messenger again. Now, wordings are as such that department should give you 30 days notice for you to reply to this ASMT 10. Now, if department gives you less time for ASMT 10, maybe they give you 21 days or 14 days, which is practically they are giving 14 days in North India. Then whether this less time makes these proceedings void ab initio? Yes or no? उन्होंने कम टाइम दिया, कैन यू चैलेंज दिस कि सर मुझे कम टाइम दिया गया? Just chat messenger, yes, no? No. The answer is no. If you have received less time duration, that doesn't mean the proceedings are void ab initio. What you have to do, if you want more time, you should request to your officer. Sir, these are old documents for 1780. We need more time because, for example, the accountant has left and you have given me 14 days time. We are submitting these replies. Please provide us 1 week more time or 2 weeks more time. So this is the way how you should deal. कभी भी ये मत सोचना कि भैया 30 दिन का टाइम लिखा था और 30 दिन का नहीं दिया तो इसका मतलब प्रोसीडिंग्स वर्ड पे नीचे होंगे. नहीं, that would not be the case. You have to request for more time if you need. Otherwise, 40 days are also sufficient to reply to these notices. And while replying to these notices, please do appreciate जो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है, whatever discrepancies they have communicated, you have to reply to only that portion, that point only. पूरी कहानी मत लिखिए replies में. Whatever specific questions they have asked, try to reply to that question only. So basically, the idea of scrutiny is that they have to check correctness of the return. And whenever they find there is a discrepancy, they will communicate to you. How they will check the correctness? From your own data or from the third party data. Your own data could be your e-way bills which you have filed for 1890, 1718 there was no e-way bill. And from other party data, 2A, GSTR 2A, and TDS returns and TCS returns. So TDS and TCS was not in 1718, they would be in 1890. So you have replied. In first scenario, you have replied 3 out of 3, accepted 100%, accepted 40, denied 60, denied altogether 100. In first case, you have paid taxes on 100. Second case, you have paid taxes on 40. Third case, you have not paid taxes on anything. After this, what if superintendent accepts it, they will accept it and they will close the case. If they don't accept your replies, so in first case, if they have demanded 100, you have paid 100, then there is no question of acceptance, not acceptance. In second and third case, when you have denied 60 or denied altogether 100, then if department doesn't accept your replies, then they can move for 73, 74. Now, as the data is in their preview, whatever they would be checking through normality, and data is on record. So they should not move to 74. They should come into 73 only. There could be one thing also, that if they don't accept your replies and they find your documents complicated, or they find that your accounts records are very complicated, or your sector is as such that it has complexity in accounting, then superintendent could recommend audit. Superintendent could recommend audit or inspection on. Now the commissioner could accept this recommendation from him for audit or inspection. Practically, whenever they would recommend the superintendent will recommend for audit or inspection. While rejecting this thing, commissioner has to make on record the reasons for rejecting such demand. Now, what I feel that there would not be any case where superintendent has requested audit for a party and superintendent would be writing such that I am unable to compute tax due from it because his account records are complicated and I recommend a special audit for this or general audit for this. And department would say, commissioner would say, no, I don't accept your demand. Iske account theek hai, isse recovery ban rahi. Will that be the case? No. Kabhi bhi nahi hoga. So if superintendent pass an zero demand order, and in that zero demand order he recommends an audit against you, तो ये मत सोचना है कमिश्नर इसको रिजेक्ट करें. कमिश्नर will always accept it and there would be audit against. Now, this was thing which they would be doing from their end. But if you go to the state manuals, तो DGRM नहीं होता उसमें, उनका अपना इंटेलिजेंस विंग होता है, एंड उसमें कोई नोडल ऑफिसर नहीं होगा. दे वुड बी डायरेक्टली सेंडिंग टू देयर ऑफिसर्स. तो सेंट्रल के केस में यहाँ पर सुपरिटेंडेंट है. In case of state, it would be state tax officer, state excise and taxation officer, whatever the case may be, whatever name is in your state. In West Bengal, what do you usually call to the officer at this rank? State tax officer or state excise and taxation officer? Anyone? What do you call? नहीं पता. No reply. Commercial, okay. Commercial tax department officer. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, Kaushik Datta. So they would be commercial tax officer. So they would be sending detail to commercial tax officer, and then he would be taking permission from probably AC, not DC. AC would be the, what I feel, that would be the hierarchy in state tax officers. So this is only one chain which would be applicable in your state, and then they would be sending basically details of how this would be taking care forward. ये उनकी list है how they will work, which is not relevant for us. We are concerned with this thing only, that we have accepted, we have paid taxes. Once we have accepted partial, and we have rejected the partial, and we have submitted replies and submissions why this partial recovery is on us, or we have rejected altogether 100% that this recovery doesn't mean, or in case of no reply, that would be a problematic thing. But again, now we accept this, pass ASMT 12 within 30 days from receipt of ASMT 11. If you don't file in reply, then he has to take action within 15 days. But these timelines are again recommendatory. These are not mandatory timeline, and the benefit of this is taken by the department is as such that whenever you say that, for example, you have received a recovery of 100 rupees, and whenever you say that this 100 rupees recovery is not there, whenever you reply as such, and department feels that their reply is correct, their reply is correct, then you don't pass out. Even your correct ASMT 11 is there, but they will not pass ASMT 12. They keep on pending for a long time. In these cases, if your reply is right and you don't get any order from the department, you can just file a request. Sir, your order passed. And if it doesn't pass any order, you don't have anything to do. You can't do anything. What department has suggested central government that they should pass minimum 3 scrutiny orders per month. And in today's scenario, there could be a case where they would be passing 3 scrutiny orders per day. Now, there is a complexity. One more thing. When we talk about service tax audit, so service tax audit में भी इसी तरह के scrutiny norms and audits थे. तो जहाँ scrutiny norms की बात थी, वहाँ पर ऐसा लिखा हुआ था scrutiny manual में that if in any year, in the past 3 years, audit has been conducted by the department, then scrutiny cannot be done for these. Vis-a-vis, this line is missing from in GST regime. So the question here arises, can a scrutiny be done on those cases where audits have already been conducted by the department? What is your view? Can scrutiny be done? लिखा हुआ कहीं नहीं है. Can scrutiny be done for all those cases where audits have been conducted by the department? Yes or no? So Sonu Yadav ji is saying yes. Scrutiny can be done after audits. Shivendu Agarwal ji is saying no. We are evenly divided right now. Anyone who want to cast is no. Preeti Jha is saying no. Nanda Rao ji is saying no. My opinion is also with the majority one, no. Why? Because this was established principle in Nanda Rao ji saying yes. Subhash Giri ji no. Prakash Jha is no. I am with the guys who are saying no. This was established principle in IDT regime. Second thing, in today's scenario, nothing is written, but when we understand, scrutiny has a limited role. Audit is vast and deep. It is vast and deep, both. So when scrutiny is done, it is for the limited purposes. और अगर scrutiny fail होती है, department officer sees that scrutiny सही से conduct नहीं हो रही, that end of the scrutiny he can recommend audit. Or he can recommend audit. मैंने अभी आपको थोड़ी देर पहले भी बताया था, he can recommend audit. Then, because audit is end, then after audit scrutiny cannot be done. Now, what happens practically? Practically, you might get a notice. You might get a notice for scrutiny after audit also. Then, see, it's my understanding, and practically we have got these benefits also. We had replied to all such scrutiny notices that because audit has been conducted and these were the established principles, now scrutiny cannot be conducted. And in all those cases, we have submitted this reply. Scrutiny was dropped. So this is not written anywhere, but practically this is going like this. Shivendu Agrawal ji is saying, but after audit, can someone be issued under section 70? The answer is yes. Summons are different, audits are different. Summons are quasi-judicial proceedings and other applicable laws also applies. Summon proceedings are different. Audit and scrutiny are different. Nanda Rao ji is saying, in our case, I got a notice scrutiny after audit. Is there any case law to contest? No, there is no case law. You can just mark two things. You can contact me after this session also. I will give you a copy of this where you can write. In fact, in my background material, I have written this. You can take from the background material, so no need to contact me also separately. Background material में लिखा हुआ है that in IDT regime, this was established principle, and in GST also, post scrutiny, end of the scrutiny is audit. Audit is not the first. So we can mark a 2-liner or 3-liner letter and they will accept it. In 100% of the cases I have submitted reply, we have got positive response from the department. So I feel this is established. So 73, 74, 73 is where income assessment, bona fide cases, genuine cases. 74 is for the bona fide non-genuine cases. So these are the research to be maintained by department. They will maintain this. So no need to worry. There are basically two softwares which department is using. So this is Advanced Analytics in Indirect Taxes. So this is managed by Director General Systems and Data Management. Now, what this software does? This has been developed with the CBIC IT team and IBM in it. Now this system is helping department for keeping all the data, analyzing the data, and this works on the predictive modeling. So what does this data do? This software predicts. What does it predict? It predicts the cases where there could be cases where recovery could be there, or cases where frauds could be there. So this is very important. This is very important software, and this works on prediction of on the basis of data analysis. And if you have read, I hope someone would have read, or maximum would have read this GST Council 47 press release, 47 GST Council press release. In that, if you read, they are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI/ML. So this AI/ML, this would be used here through ADVAT, and they would be predicting where someone would be involved in tax evasions. Now, basic three objectives of this software is enhancing direct tax revenue, increasing data taxpayer base, supporting data-driven tax policy formation. So what does this mean? Data-driven tax policy formulation. So the policies of GST should be based on data analysis or the data. Now, if you see that your ITC, now your ITC is linked with GSTR 2A or 2B. Now, this is prime example of data-driven tax policy formulation. Your ITC is now based on data. Correct or not? And in future, hope you would have read the amendment through this Finance Act, Finance Budget Bill of Section 38. In Section 38, what they are trying to say that ITC would be of two types: eligible ITC available for credit, eligible ITC not available for the credits. And when we talk about ITC available, not eligible for credit, or which would be available for future, then you would see that in those cases, they are covering new GST registrations also. In new GST registration, they would be saying that and the policy could be like this, that unless he files his GSTR 1 and 3B, he paid taxes, then only you will get credits for that from newly registered company. Now, these policies are very important. And have you gone through the proposed concept paper of GSTR 3? Have someone read the concept paper for GSTR 3B? GSTR 3B, which would be coming in future? Shivan Agrawal is saying yes. Thank you. So you will see that for ITC, they have given so many bifurcations now. And in GSTR 1 outward supplies also, they are bifurcating things. So for credits also, they are saying that please file the correct details for the credit. Yes, auto population of 2B. Now, this is, you can read key features. We are not interested in this. Now, these would be 360-degree view of the policy person. And they would be targeting GSTR 3B and 2A differences, GSTR 1 differences through this, and then predicting the DGRM, they would be predicting that this person would be, this entity would be involved in carousel trader fraud. This, when we read about this word, carousel trader fraud, so this is missing trader. ये यूरोप में बहुत ज्यादा यूज होता है वर्ड, एंड इसमें एक बहुत डिटेल्ड डिस्कशन है कि किस तरह से एंटिटीज टैक्स चोरी में इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, हाउ दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन टैक्स इवेजन. फेक इनवॉइसेस का भी आपने सेशन किया है, विवेक जलान सर वुड हैव taken this topic in detail. So whenever you see these kind of reports, when you see that this party was, a raid was conducted on this party by using data analytics and 360-degree profiling. So when we see these words, data analysis and 360-degree profiling, then you can understand that this prediction for this person involved in fraud was done through the ADVAT software. The ADVAT software would have helped them. So आप कल से कभी भी आप GST रेड केसेस में किसी को पढ़े तो just try to read these words, data analysis and 360-degree profiling. Then you will understand कि कौन से data ने recommend किया है कि यहाँ पर text चोरी हो सकती है. And these softwares would be sending details to the DGRM, and DGRM would be sending these details to nodal officer. Nodal officer would be sending them to the concerned superintendent, and superintendent will be sending you notice for the GST scrutiny. Now there is another software, BIFA, Business Intelligence and Fraud Analysis. This is developed by Infosys, and Infosys is helping this. और जो हमारे जो ऑफिसर्स हैं, जो स्टेट में जिनसे आप जाकर डिपार्टमेंट मिलते हैं, they are using BIFA. Okay, so first वाला वो limited use के लिए था. BIFA is for everyone, for every officer, and they create statistics. They create statistics, और जो पहले वाला था, what they that was doing, that was helping in policy formulation. Now, what this data has, the first data, it has data of GST, Central Excise, Service Tax. This data has, this software BIFA has data of VAT, right to use of goods, sales tax, work contract, and GST. So hope you remember that before VAT came, we had separate returns for right to use of goods, work contract, and sales tax. Then VAT came, and VAT में सारे merge हो गए थे. So now how they go through it? So department are taking help of ADVAT. ADVAT is helping them. ADVAT will generate a report. Very important question by Jogiraj ji. ADVAT does data analysis, and they will generate a report. They will send to DGRM, and DGRM will send that report to nodal officer. Nodal officer then bifurcate the cases, and they will send it to every superintendent. Now, BIFA is another thing. BIFA is not with DGRM. BIFA is with every officer of the department. Okay. So BIFA का use कैसे होता है? Practical. बताओ. So your client is A. Your client is A, and he has received supply from X. X has received supply from Y. Y has received supply from Z, and Z has received supply from B. So when they open through BIFA, when they open A, then it will show back 3 जहां तक वो receive कर रहे हैं. So they will show that X, Y, and Z. If they open of X, then it will show X has received supply from Y, Y has received supply from Z, and Z has received supply from B. And if they open for Y, then it will go Z, B, and C. So this is the way BIFA works. So BIFA helps every officer, and all officers have access to BIFA. And the word BIFA uses BO. They call it back office, BO. Naveen Singhal is saying, sir, they are issuing notices to taxpayer, and many times notice contains incorrect data. If notice contains incorrect data, should the taxpayer provide correct data? Yes, that should be done. See, Naveen ji, my personal experience is that when I have seen you're talking about the notices, I have seen the orders also in best judgment assessment order, BGA. एक दिन में जितने BGA पास होते हैं, सब में सेम अमाउंट की रिकवरी होती है. सब में सेम अमाउंट की रिकवरी होती है. कई केसेस में तो सिर्फ पेन और नाम बदल देते हैं, एड्रेस भी नहीं बदलते. ऐसा कॉपी पेस्ट करते. दिस इज माई एक्सपीरियंस। इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि आपकी 20 लाख की सेल थी, दे कुड हैव इशू अ नोटिस फॉर रिकवरी ऑफ 1 करोड़ ऑफ, क्योंकि वो एक दिन में जितने अमाउंट की एक का बना दिया और वो उस दिन में जितने पास हुए सब कॉपी पेस्ट हो रहे होते। सो देयर कुड बी अ चांस इनकरेक्ट डेटा कुड हैव बीन प्रोवाइडेड, एंड स्पेशली व्हेन यू गो टू हरियाणा ऑडिट मैनुअल, it has provided कि if someone has not replied within 30 days, तो उसमें उन्होंने ऑप्शन दे रखा है there's to send a reminder also. अदर देन हरियाणा किसी के भी ऑडिट स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल में ये नहीं लिखा हुआ कि अगर रिप्लाई नहीं दिया तो वहां सब जगह यही कह रहे हैं दैट पास एन ऑर्डर. Vis-a-vis in Haryana manual, they are saying if someone has not replied within 30 days, then you should issue reminder 1, reminder 2, reminder 3, and then pass an order. In Haryana manual, one thing more is written about BO, back office, BIFA 1. They are saying that there are some cases where whatever data has been provided to you in first part, for example, your 2A. Now, if your vendor has amended his GSTR1, then the data as per BIFA will not change. They will pick the initial one. So there are cases, कई cases में ऐसा होता है. Now the law written in his scrutiny guideline is very clear that department should not ask for data from you. So ideally, whatever data they have, they should download from their end. For example, your GSTR 3B, your GSTR 1, your e-way bill, your 2A, and if they want to be also, and TDS returns. But if they ask, should you provide GSTR 2A, 2B, or GSTR 3B, GSTR 1 to them or no? Yes, no. Guideline says they should not ask you GSTR 3B, GSTR 1, GSTR 2A, TDS returns, e-way. But while replying to scrutiny noted, you should provide them or not? Yes or no? Even when they have not asked. Answer is yes, you should provide. Answer is yes, you should provide. Why? Because when you go to, even if they have not asked, see, as a tax professional, we should, our interest is whatever the best interest of the client is. We should never go into ego. See, if you don't go through this Haryana manual, I agree to whatever you are saying. Because Haryana manual has listed so many instances where their data has not been amended. And see, if your original 2A was saying 100 rupees credits and the amended one is saying 600 rupees credit, and you have taken 600 rupees credit, then the scrutiny now would always say, sir, please pay 500 rupees with interest. So these kind of data is already with them, but that is not updated in the system. So you should go through the Haryana GST manual, scrutiny manual. In that case, you should pinpoint कि भाई यहाँ पर data update नहीं होता. That is why we should provide answers for all these things. Yes, Jogirajji, BIFA was aimed for detection of tax evasion, revenue assurance, and creation of statistical insights. That is correct. Objective of GST was to make one nation, one tax, reduce litigation, increase transparency, and making everything paperless. How many points are achieved? After 5 years, how many points are achieved? So I leave it to your wisdom. So basically the scrutiny would be, they would be doing risky profiling, and there are some historical tax evasion prone sectors. Now these sectors vary from state to state, but there are few sectors which they feel that in every state it is same, as metals or real estate sector. We are targeting these type of sectors more, and this you can go through. Now we come to risk parameters of Kerala, and with this you will understand why it is different, why Tamil Nadu has to issue further notices. So now they are coming with, Kerala has come up with these parameters. The first is SMT 13 was issued, and returns were filed in 30 days, but they think that the party might have an will to run away with the government money. Now the another point is that they are saying that ITC utilization more than 5 times of the cash. Now if you go through the SOP issued on 12th of May 2019, 12th May 2019, what they said that if someone has paid tax less than 5% in cash, then that party is in risky zone. But in this case, they are saying ITC utilized more than 5 times. That is, they are thinking that one should have paid 16.67% in cash, which is very high amount. इतना तो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन ही नहीं होता. 16% कहाँ प्रॉफिट मार्जिन है? 16% is very high. You pay taxes in cash only on the value addition, and it is rare to have 20% value addition. So again, ये ज्यादा लोगों को लेने की कोशिश है. Now, when we talk about our service sector, say our tax profession, CA, सर हम लोग 90-95% कैश में पे करते. In some cases, we would be paying 98% in cash. हमारे पास क्रेडिट ही नहीं होते. Whatever maximum credit we get from say printing papers, internet lease line, mobile bills, telephone bills, that's it. साल में 1-2 कंप्यूटर या लैपटॉप खरीदते हैं, उसका क्रेडिट ले लेते हैं. 2-3 साल में मोबाइल बदलते. We don't have credits. Go and check your own returns. You would be paying 90-95% in cash. So ये provision हम पर तो नहीं लगेगा, लेकिन हमारे clients पर. And those who are into trading activity, they might be having a margin of 4 to 5%. But these Kerala risk parameters are applicable only in the Kerala. And then they said the turnover above 1 crore. Turnover above 1 crore, but cash paid nil. Cash paid nil. Now, this could be for many reasons. It's a new business. पहली बार stock खरीदा. He could have started a new factory. He could have started a new showroom. He could have started a new shop also. He could have started a new business line. So there could be many reasons. But see, अगर किसी रिस्क पैरामीटर में आ रहे हैं, जरूरी नहीं कि उसके पैरामीटर में आने के बाद हमारी स्कूटनी 100% होगी. 100% केस नहीं है कि स्कूटनी में आएंगे. But these cases, you have to understand which clients could come into a risky zone of scrutiny or audits. Now, when I discuss about issuing of scrutiny norms, just understand, Tamil Nadu issued a scrutiny norm of 1.5 page. 1.5 page भी नहीं हटा दो, तो it is only 1 page. Kerala issued of 4 pages. Maharashtra issued 7 pages. 7 pages. Central government issued of 13 pages. And after central government 13 pages, I was like this कि भैया अब इससे ज्यादा तो कोई issue कर ही नहीं सकता. And then Haryana issued of 70 pages. But the Tamil Nadu, what Tamil Nadu missed, they didn't wrote anything. except the section in the rule. And now Tamil Nadu has later on found that more than 1,38,000 were such cases where turnover was above 1 crore, but cash paid was nil. They have found such cases. And for all such cases in Tamil Nadu state, they had issued notices in ASMT 10 for all these cases. And out of these, 12,000 after receipt of notice paid taxes also. So see, GST is a central act. We might disagree on one nation, one tax theory, but it is one type of tax in all of the nation. So whatever is happening in one state, we should be cautious that all such things might happen in your state tomorrow. So when Tamil Nadu found these type of cases, and how Tamil Nadu got this idea? Because this was in the SOP norms of Kerala. And after reading Kerala SOP norms, they did a finding in their state, and they found 1,36,000 cases like this. They issued notices and 12,000 paid taxes. Around 8,000 were found missing. Turnover above 60%, जो total का है. 2A, 3B ITC comparison, I will deal this later. 980 ITC availed after due date, section 16, subsection 4. Capital ITC versus exempt turnover. Now just remember what we did in GST, what we did while filing in July 2017. What I did a mistake was, mine was an zero rated sale, and mistakenly I had put into exempt supplies. Now when the software would check, software check karte hue kya dikhega, that this party has exempt supplies of X amount. Vis-a-vis when they will go for reversal of ITC 42, 43, they will say, ki, sir, what the software will suggest to the department, this party has exempt supply. Software will not understand that this was export mistakenly I shown as exempt. So this software will check that this has exempt supply, but it has no reversal of ITC for capital goods. Therefore, you should scrutinize this return. समझ में आ रहा है point? So the mistake which we did while filing returns earlier will now lead us to scrutiny. Okay, GSTR1, GSTR3B mismatch, very genuine one. E-way bill and turnover, these are for 17, these are not for 17, 18, they will come in 18, 19. Now understand the risk parameter of central. First is ITC from non-genuine taxpayer whose RC has been cancelled belatedly. Right or wrong? Now, I think Naveen ji would be the right person to answer this. I think Vivek Jalan sir ने already DY Brithal and Bright Star Plastic करवा दिया, LG Industries भी करवा दिया. Yes. So आपको पता है यहाँ पर आंसर कैसे देना. तो I will not be repeating. जब पॉइंट आएगा तो मैं फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगा. अराइज इंडिया भी करवा दिया सर ने. ये सब छोड़कर मैं बात करूंगा. Then excess ITC, GSTR1, GSTR3B, 9B, excess outward e-way bill, non-filers. Non-filers. Somebody has asked this question also. जब एंड में क्वेश्चन चल रहे थे विवेक सर से कि साहब उसने मेरा आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज में दिखाना था और उसने आरसीएम में दिखा दिया, कि उसने गलती से आरसीएम में दिखा दिया. सर ने कहा कि साहब आप देखो कि उसने टैक्स पे करा है नहीं करा, और अदरवाइज उससे DRC 03 से पे करवा दो. तो ये सर का आंसर था. तो यहाँ पर अब हम उस केस की बात करेंगे जहां पर उसने पे ही नहीं करा. इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिलेड पेमेंट, कई बार इट हैज हैपेंड विद अस आल्सो. हमने क्लाइंट को बोला कि सर ये आपका टैक्स रह गया था, टैक्स पे करो, और इतना इंटरेस्ट है. तो क्लाइंट ने कई बार हमसे भी कहा कि साहब ऐसा है This is the interest, this is the tax which I am willing to pay. I forgot, कोई बात नहीं जी, आप पे कर दो. Interest बाद में देख लेंगे जब आएगा, अभी तो पैसे ही नहीं है. And that interest is pending. So in scrutiny norms, department might demand that interest also. 7 और 8 ये मैं अलग से करवा दूंगा जनरल केसेस में. RCM लायबिलिटी, RCM को हम अलग से करेंगे. एंड कई केसेस में ऐसा बहुत हुआ होगा, आपने भी ऐसे केसेस देखे होंगे, वेयर your vendor would have your client could have said that his vendor has filed his return today. His vendor has filed his return today. And now he would have suggested you because कि भैया मेरा 2A में दिख रहा है, आप क्रेडिट ले लो. और फिर आपने उससे कहा होगा सर ये तो 2A में तो दिख गया, लेकिन जीएसटी लेकिन ये किसी और पीरियड से कंसर्न कर रहा था, सेक्शन 15 सबसेक्शन 4 की लिमिट लगती है. Now what your client would have suggested, सर आज दिया है ना, इतनी मुश्किल में तो उसने टैक्स पे करा है, आज तो क्रेडिट ले लो. And then on the pressure of your client, or they see every time it's not we are filing the return. In certain cases, client is himself filing the return, and now for scrutiny they have approached you, or because their audit is conducted, they have approached you. Fine enough. So in those cases, even they would have claimed credit for these kind of cases. IGST imports are not required to be visible in GSTR 2A or 2B. ICE gate से आप directly credit ले सकते हैं. ISD, whatever credits ISD has transferred to you, you will be allowed to take it. And then last point is GSTR 9 liabilities. We'll cover this. So मोटा-मोटा समझ लीजिए, last thing फिर से, department will scrutinize your return to check correctness of the return. Along with other things, whatever discrepancies he will find, he will send you a notice in 30 days. If you submit replies, explanation satisfactory, or you accept the liability, you pay the taxes. No further action. If you don't submit reply, if your explanation not satisfactory, if no response, then they will move forward against you. So discrepancy is not defined anywhere. A discrepancy is as per Black Law Dictionary, which says that it is a variance. It is a variance, and discrepancy is not the contradiction. So एक बड़ा अच्छा phrase है. A person might be wrong in his opinion. A person might be wrong in his opinion, but he cannot be wrong on a fact. But a person can never be wrong on a fact. So whatever factual position is, इसमें कोई अलग बात समझ में आती है, then it is a discrepancy. आपका opinion था that this is not classified at 18%, you have classified at 12%. ये discrepancy नहीं है. This is a point of litigation. लेकिन आपने किसी चीज पर टैक्स ही नहीं दिया. This is a fact. Okay. Yes, we have discussed. No need to. Audit would be by the section 75. Leave it. Now, scrutiny of return is not adjudication. For adjudication, they have to come with fixed amount, and if there is suppression, willful misstatement, then only 74 can be invoked. Otherwise, for every other reason, 73 would come. This you can go through it. You know, to repeat. This is a chart for कब तक notice आ सकता है. Now they have extended this period also. Now this is a SOP. Section 61 इन्होंने define कर रखा है. The ruling direct and that is rule 99. आपको सिर्फ एक section एक rule ही पढ़ना है. So this is all for the department. We leave it. For our first concern, for point of contention is that इससे पहले जरा questions chat पे देख लेते हैं. Now, wholesaler tends to have large stock. Why shall they pay in cash? So whatever stock they are maintaining, विकास जी, stock तो सेम ही रहेगा, बाकी टर्नओवर तो होगा ना. For example, if someone is maintaining a stock of say 100 lakh rupees every year, तो 100 lakh का तो स्टॉक रहेगा, लेकिन उसका टर्नओवर तो हो सकता है 10 करोड़ को हो पूरे साल में, तो 10 करोड़ की परचेज करी, 15 करोड़ में सेल करी, तो 15 करोड़ में 5 करोड़ पे तो टैक्स दोगे नहीं दोगे, ये थोड़ी होता है.
सर ये उस पॉइंट पे डिस्कशन चल रहा था when you were telling that the SSC might not pay in cash, so he had posted.
मैं उसी की बात कह रहा हूँ. In a new business, he might have bought stock first year, but in next year, in case of new business or addition to a new business, नया showroom खोल दिया, नई factory खोल दी, नया vertical add कर दिया, that could be a case. But in routine cases, 1 करोड़ का तो स्टॉक को मेंटेन करेगा ही, उसके वेयर हाउस में 1 करोड़ का स्टॉक होगा, बाकी साल भर में टर्नओवर तो 10 करोड़ का होगा. 10 करोड़ परचेज करेगा, 15 करोड़ की सेल करेगा, 1 करोड़ का स्टॉक हमेशा पड़ा रहेगा, तो उस केस में कैश तो पे करेगा ही. दैट इज एक एवरेज स्टॉक मेंटेन रहता है. नाउ इफ देयर इज डिफरेंस बिटवीन GSTR1 and GSTR3, व्हाट डिपार्टमेंट विल अंडरस्टैंड कि अगर आपने GSTR1 में ज्यादा दिखाया है, GSTR3B में कम दिखाया है, देन आपने टैक्स पे नहीं करा. Agree? But there could be genuine reasons also. There could be genuine reasons. In case of sales return, and within time bound, sir, we are not allowed to put negative figures in GSTR3B. What I will do, if I have received goods, goods return, और मेरे उस पीरियड में सेल्स ही नहीं, then I keep on putting these figures in minus this month sale 0000. I would be filing GSTR3B of 0 taxes and would be adjusting all those amounts in later period. Yes or no? There could be genuine cases where my GSTR3B would be showing less liability than what GSTR1 for the that year is. So मेरी 17-18 की sales return 18-19 में हुई है, and when you check 18-19, you will see my GSTR1 is higher and GSTR3B is less. This is a genuine case. Second, if you remember, when GST was started, we were to pay taxes on advance receipt for supply of goods also. Supply of goods पे GST देना था 17 में. Then later on it was removed with the request of the trader bodies कि सर एडवांस पर सर्विस टैक्स में GST जाता था, सेल्स पर GST एडवांस पर हम नहीं देते थे, प्लीज रिमूव दिस. So it could be possible that someone would have received advance, had paid taxes, probably that date was 13th or 12th of October 2017, जब तक उन्होंने एडवांस पर टैक्सेस दिए. We had received advance on 2017, से जुलाई अगस्त में आ गया, and the supplies were made in 18-19. उस एडवांस पे तो टैक्स देना नहीं, because we have received, and then GSTR3B, GSTR1 would be having a mismatch. These two I am sharing with genuine concern. So whenever you receive a notice for discrepancy in GSTR1 and GSTR3B, then you have to cross-check every discrepancy doesn't lead that there is shortfall in taxes. There are genuine cases जहाँ पर taxes shortfall हुए हों. Got it? Then second is RCM liability with corresponding ITC. Now when we remember July 17, July or say August 17, आप भी कह रहे होंगे कहाँ हिस्टोरियन को पकड़ रहा है, बार बार जुलाई अगस्त में पहुंच जाता है. Sir, remember there was lot of confusion of claiming ITC on RC. Now, one approach was that कि जिस महीने में you are paying ITC, sorry, RCM, in the same month you claim ITC. There was other group which was saying that you pay in month 1 RCM and in month 2 you claim ITC. And in certain sectors it is continuing like this today also. And in certain practices. So they were paying RCM in month 1, they were claiming ITC in month 2. Now, if that is the position, whatever they were claiming in month 1, say March 2017, they would be claiming ITC in April, March 18, April 18. And for say April 18 में कोई RCM आया ही नहीं. Or for say in that year they started from April 18 for paying and claiming in same month. Then also they would be claiming for March 18 and April 18. And when you see the total, it would seem prima facie, before you go to drill down the actual reason for the difference, you would see, for example, 10 rupees per month has been paid. You will say, they have paid 120, they have claimed 130. So 10 rupees is a difference. 10 rupees is extra ITC which has claimed. No, that's not the case. So you have to check for the actual reasons. Why I am saying we have to check for the actual reason? There could be two reasons for that also. First, July 17 में क्या हुआ था हम भूल गए. We have forgot after 5 years कि हो क्या रहा. Second, the file could have been with other consultant or the client would have been filing their return themselves. आज वो आपके पास आए नहीं. So you need to understand the reasons for all mistakes. Then RCM with GSTR 2. Now when someone has supplied his services to you and in return, जो हमारा एक क्वेश्चन विवेक जलान सर से आया भी था, that he has marked, उनका केस था कि गलती से मार्क हो गया, मेरा केस जेन्युइन, that they have marked in their own GSTR 3B that this is supplies in RCM and they have submitted your say GST details. Now that his forward supplies that was in RCM is showing in your GSTR 2. Now you have to pay taxes on it and then you have to claim ITC. If you pay in the same month, claim ITC or next month, no issues. Now for service contracts, you have to make payment. For example, you have a contract with the person that you will pay him after 3 months. Fine. आपने 90 days बाद उसका पेमेंट कर दिया, but you have to discharge GST liability within 60 days from receipt of his from his invoice date. अब मैं इसको फॉलो कैसे कर रहा हूं? Whenever I make payment or 60 days, whichever is earlier, I pay ITC. I pay GST on it. Now, if I am following the law, then also, if that amount is visible in my month 1, 60 days, I might be discharging that tax liability in month 3. So month 1, month 3, that's a genuine thing. And then there would be a mismatch. For February 18, March 18, when I would be paying it, February 18, I would be paying in April. And for March also, I would be paying in May 2018. What about invoice issued on 31st January 2018? बताइए क्या होगा उस केस में? बोलिए. Was that a leap year? 2018 was a leap year, yes or no? पहुंच गया सर. No, it was not a leap year. Then for invoice issued on 31st January, my due date was April 2018. then if I had followed everything also, then also there are cases of genuine mismatch. And for genuine mismatch, I would be claiming in the taxes period as per rules required. Now, this is a very different thing. They are saying that our RCM liability has been discharged, but in cash, say 100 rupees, but ITC claimed of that is 110 rupees. देखिए लगता नहीं मेरे को, because everyone knows that RCM has to be paid in cash. It would be very different thing. और कोई mistake हो गई हो तो कह नहीं सकते. Otherwise 100 rupees RCM would be paid, and then person would have claimed 100 rupees. But if someone has paid RCM liability through ITC, then only this case of mismatch would be there. I don't agree, but anything could have happened in July 17 or August 17. Then ISD credit, they are saying that you have claimed excess ISD credit that was visible in GSTR 2A. Practically not possible, but rarest of rare occasion it could be possible. Then other ITC, GSTR 2, we have claimed 100 rupees in GSTR 3, and our ITC as per GSTR 2A was 70 rupees. 30 rupees mismatch is there. Now we have to understand. हालांकि सर ने इसको कवर कर लिया है, फिर भी I am covering it. So for 17-18, there was no law that ITC should match with GSTR 2A. In fact, GSTR 2A was first visible in October 2018. तो जो चीज थी ही नहीं, उससे मैं क्रॉस चेक कैसे करता? And ITC as per 16 subsection 2, जिसकी 4 कंडीशन बेसिक थी, A, B, C and D, और सब पर आप देखिए कोलन लगा हुआ है और एंड में एंड लिखा हुआ है. तो 4 की 4 कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई करनी थी. That you have received goods or services or both. Second was you have tax invoice. The vendor has paid taxes and returns have been filed. There was no requirement of that visibility in GSTR 2. And if you have satisfied all those conditions, then tax credit should be allowed. Department should take view as such, भैया credit मिलना चाहिए. Even paragraph 4 of 18th October 2018 press release says this, that GSTR 2A is facilitation method for additional facility, and ITC is not linked with this. In fact, a recent February 2022 decision of Honorable Gujarat High Court in this case is also relevant to this. Now, High Court decisions, इसको जरा थोड़ा समझ लेते हैं. High Court decisions are binding in the state only. They are not, they don't have any binding precedent in outside their state. But as it is a central act, it can be utilized as a reference. And your case could be strong while quoting High Court decisions. Department मानेगा नहीं, वो एक दूसरा issue है, but you have to make your case very strong with High Court decisions. So let's understand High Court decision. So this new null-bund trader, this was the decision for Rule 86A, and a person has received goods and supplies, and he has invoices, payment slips, everything they had. And then because of certain reasons of one of the supplier, department blocked his credit. And then he approached High Court. And High Court said that ITC should be linked with conditions as per GST laws. They cannot be linked to other things. और इस क्वेश्चन में बताया गया जीएसटी लॉस उनका मतलब क्या है. They said the 4 basic principles of GST. 4 basic conditions of GST laws, section 16 subsection 2. कहते हैं अगर ये 4 कंडीशन फुलफिल्ड है, GST 2A में है नहीं है उससे कोई मतलब नहीं. And therefore they said that blocking of ITC credit ledger is undue hardship and this should be open. You can use the decision, पूरा decision है, it's a lengthy decision, but you can use this decision in your cases. और cases अभी बात करेंगे. Then TDS, TCS. Your TDS, your GST returns outwards doesn't match with TDS, TCS. And trust me, वो मैच होंगी नहीं कभी. 100% केसेस में मिसमैच है. कोई रेयर चांस है जहां पर मैच कर जाए. The reason is because my outward liability in GSTR1 or GSTR3B is on the accrual basis. Accrual basis. मैंने month 1 में bill raise करा. I raise my invoice in month 1. I will pay taxes on it. Now TDS, TCS is when they actually pay cash to me. And that could be in month 2, month 3. देखिए TDS कौन काटता है? Who deduct TDS? PSUs. On an average, they will take time of 60 days, minimum 60 days. Average 60 days होगा नहीं होगा. So for month 1, they would be paying me in month 3, and they would be showing in their return in month 3. तो mismatch तो बनेगा ही बनेगा. If that mismatch is in whole same year, same financial year, तो आप total लगाकर दे दोगे. But what about month of year-end transactions? January, February, March, they would be mismatched. So इसके लिए आपको एक अलग से GST register, reconciliation register बनाना पड़ेगा. I will be discussing this later on, how you have to cross check this. Then GSTR 3B with e-way bill. मैच नहीं कर रही आपकी GSTR. So conclusion, what department will think, because your e-way bill are more of your GSTR 3B, then you have avoided or short paid taxes. But there are various reasons where I am not required to pay tax. I had generated a delivery challan, supplied goods on delivery challan. I had supplied molds, dyes. I had sent goods for job work. Am I right or wrong? Or in supper, am I required to pay taxes? The answer is no. I had supplies, molds, dyes. I'm not required to pay taxes on that. So there would be a mismatch. Again, you would be required to have a reconciliation register with respect to GSTR 3B versus e-way bill. And then only you would be at end of the year, you would be able to say, sir, this was my supplies. These are my e-way bills which are not supplies, which I have to generate. But this doesn't match. And that is the reason there is a difference. And when you are asking me pay taxes on this, this is not required. Registration of vendor cancelled retrospectively. In North India, especially in Delhi and Gurgaon, किसी भी वेंडर का रजिस्ट्रेशन डिपार्टमेंट कैंसिल करता है, कैंसिल टू द वेरी फर्स्ट डे जब से उसने रजिस्ट्रेशन दिया, एंड यूजुअली दैट इज फ्रॉम 1st of July 2017. सबका कैंसिल कर देते. And then department will say you have to pay taxes because your vendor registration has been cancelled retrospectively from 1st day. Now how to handle this? Sanjita Kundu, very important judgment from Calcutta High. I think सर ने डिस्कस कराया था ये केस नहीं, विवेक जलान सर ने डिस्कस नहीं किया. चल, थैंक गॉड कुछ तो छोड़ा मेरे बेटे. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी. Sanjita Kundu. Now, this lady has taken credit on the basis of everything. and registration of her suppliers was cancelled retrospectively. Now, what the petitioner said to the Calcutta High Court, that I had verified genuineness of the supply. Whenever I have taken supplies from the vendor, I had taken their GST registration printout, cross-checked it from GST website, and it was an active registration. I have done a proper KYC. And now, and when I had received those supplies, the credit of those supplies was visible in GSTR 2A also. उस दिन उस month में GSTR 2A दिख रहा था. Now department has cancelled their registration retrospectively, and before making any recovery from the party vendor, they have approached me and said, please pay the tax. Fine. Court said, and I think this decision was given by Justice M.D. Nizamuddin. Single bench judge has given this decision. And the court said, yes, whatever was done, whatever practically possible was done by the recipient of the supply, Sanjita. And therefore, recovery of this amount is not to be done. Recovery of this amount cannot be done. And they said that registration has been cancelled on X date. So after date X, whatever credit has not been allowed, whatever transactions has been done, उसकी recovery हो सकती. So for example, आप GSTR 2 में भी देख लेना, अगर किसी का cancel होता है तो उसमें डेट आती है किस डेट में कैंसिल करा और तब से कैंसिल करा. सो उसमें फॉर एग्जांपल दे हैड कैंसिल्ड समवन रजिस्ट्रेशन से फ्रॉम 10th of June 2022, but it has been cancelled from 1st of July 2017. Got it? तो 10th of January तक की सारी ट्रांजेक्शन शुड बी वैलिड. एंड यस, इट वाज एमडी निजामुद्दीन. Then there is one more decision from Madras High Court. And this is for VAT. ये बाकी cases VAT regime के हैं. That only because vendor's registration is cancelled, you cannot recover the amount. And ITC claimed where vendor has not filed his GST-R3. Now there are 4 basic conditions, and one of the conditions that vendor has not filed his GST-R3, that means he has not discharged his tax liability. And when vendor has not discharged his tax liability, you cannot claim that credit unless you go for the litigation कि भैया मेरी गलती नहीं थी. Because when you go to GSTR 2A, उसमें दिखता है whether he has filed his GSTR 3B, yes or no, Y and N दिखता है. So if N is shown there, तो आपको क्रेडिट नहीं लेना चाहिए. बट अगर अमाउंट बहुत सब्सटेंशियल है तो आप there are various cases जहां पर ऐसा हो सकता है. Quest Merchandising, Delhi High Court, that it is not the responsibility of the buyer to force seller to pay taxes. And this is Madras High Court decision. Even if he has not paid taxes, you cannot deny credit to honest and genuine buyer. Dhirulal Balchand, Haryana High Court, very celebrated judgment. The problem with GST is, this case is very good case. This case said that you should distinguish between honest and dishonest dealer. Vis-a-vis GST law doesn't distinguish. वो सबका blanket cancel करके चलती. And then they say, Dhirulal Balchand, that it is violation of Article 14 and 19 of Constitution that you should distinguish between honest and dishonest buyers. Again, Madras High Court judgment. Leave it. ITC availed beyond 1616 subsection 4 for 1718. Date was extended to March 2019. If you have claimed ITC beyond limit of say September, next year it was September, इस पर कोई डिसीजन नहीं है. नो डिसीजन. किसी ने विवेक जलान सर से पूछा भी था, इफ आई रिमेंबर, क्वेश्चन मैसेंजर में था ये क्वेश्चन कि सर 1616 सबसेक्शन 4 का सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 के अगेंस्ट में रिसेंटली बिहार हाई कोर्ट, पटना हाई कोर्ट है एक्सेप्टेड रिट अगेंस्ट दिस, पर उसमें भी उन्होंने क्या कहा कि whatever amount you are whatever amount is there, you have to pay that amount and then we will accept the writ. सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 के इक्वलेंट सेक्शन 19 था तमिलनाडु वैट में, दैट वाज चैलेंज बिफोर मद्रास हाई कोर्ट, और उसमें कोई रिलीफ मिला नहीं था। इसमें महालक्ष्मी कॉटन मिल्स बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट का एक डिसीजन बड़ा अच्छा है, जिसमें वो कहते हैं दैट legislator can step into the shoes of when executive machinery fails. Import of goods 2A में विजिबल होना जरूरी नहीं है। रिवर्सल 42-43, अगर आपने मेरी तरह गलती करी है और मिल रेटेड को या जीरो रेटेड को एग्जाम में दिखाया तो सॉफ्टवेयर बोलेगा, बट नाउ यू हैव टू गिव एक्सप्लेनेशन टू द डिपार्टमेंट। इंटरेस्ट एंड लेट फीस शुड बी ऑन द नेट लायबिलिटी। अभी एक क्लैरिफिकेशन है, दैट कुड कॉम्प्लिकेट योर वर्किंग। एंड इफ इनिशियल फेज में क्या हुआ, जीएसटी आया ना, आपने अपडेट नहीं कराया होगा आइस गेट पर, इन ऑल दोस केसेस व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, महाराष्ट्र की जो 7 पेज की समरी है उसमें इसका एक फॉर्मेट दे रखा है, आप उस फॉर्मेट को यूज कीजिए, सबमिट ऑल द डिटेल्स विद ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन एंड यू कैन क्लेम क्रेडिट्स। मिसमैच फॉर कुरियर एजेंसी, नवीन सर मैं 5 मिनट और लूंगा फॉर वाइंडिंग अप, देन यू कैन टेक क्वेश्चंस।
Sure, sir.
In these cases, courier agencies के लिए allowed है that they can submit their own GST number while claiming. तो वो जो क्रेडिट वहां पर दिख रहा होगा वो उनके 2A में दिख रहा होगा। In this case, what you need to get all the document endorsed, and also you need an affidavit from the courier agency that they are not claiming credit. Affidavit के साथ submit कीजिए, then you can claim credit. Interest is monthly and this is GSTR 9 छोड़ दीजिए। करंट में हम 2 रिकैंसिलेशन बनाते हैं, GSTR 3B वर्सेस GSTR 2A, and we make reconciliation of GSTR 3B versus GSTR 1. But we need to make 4 more reconciliations. First is RCM from registered person, जहां पर वो 2A में दिख रहा होगा और हम RCM को मैच कर चलेंगे। Second is RCM on ITC और RCM when we have claim credit, और जब हम सर्विस के केस में जब हम 30 days और 60 days बाद पेमेंट कर रहे होंगे, we have to make, and then GSTR 2A with TDS रिटर्न और TCS रिटर्न, क्योंकि मंथ 1 में हमने पे करा, we have discharged liability on accrual basis of month 1, but we would have got in TDS TCS in month 2, month 3, month 4, whatever, and then e-way bill, very important, e-way bill, क्योंकि e-way bill आपका खुद का डॉक्यूमेंट है, and in e-way bill you have to cross check whether this delivery e-way bill is against a delivery or it is a supply. तो आप बाइफरकेट कीजिए, सप्लाई होगी तो GSTR 1 साथ होगा, नहीं होगा तो नहीं होगा, and then we have to check the limits. ये छोड़ दीजिए, सब आप खुद कर लेंगे। पीपीटी आपके पास आएगी, somebody has asked me पीपीटी, वो मैंने भेज रखी है, and then स्टेट वाइज मैंडेटरी आप अपनी स्टेट पर चेक कर लीजिए, इट इज मैंडेटरी और नॉट। आई लीव इट टू दिस, थैंक यू फॉर दिस ऑल डिस्कशन। क्वेश्चंस हमारे पास हैं क्या?
Yes, sir, we have some questions with us.
First is
Ravindranath Shahji has asked that, sir, one of my client is thinking of converting his residence into a hotel by renovating the same by purchasing materials on which GST are charged. After 18th of July 22, GST is chargeable on hotel room, even if per day charges are below ₹1,000. In my opinion, GST on materials purchased is ineligible. ITC being the same is for immovable property. Am I right?
No, whatever your question is, that is something as sort of safari retreat, Odisha High Court. Now, whether this comes in your case, that you say that this is my own supply or not, because In this case, you will be supplying further. That was the case of opulent mall. But hotels के केस में ऐसी कोई relief मिली नहीं है. Otherwise, जितने भी hotels हैं, उन सबको ITC credit मिल जाए. And in my humble opinion, ITC is not available. Sir, it is my opinion, not a professional one, personal opinion. Credit nahi mile.
Sir, next Jogiraj Das ji is asking, sir, can we accept any scrutiny notice from department without then?
Sir, first thing is that from central you cannot receive anything without then. But when we talk about say state, as you might be in West Bengal state, so West Bengal state में din mandatory है नहीं है, I need to cross check. आप बता दीजिए. Din is mandatory.
Yes, sir, it's mandatory.
Yes, sir. Mandatory.
Mandatory, yes, sir.
Mandatory, then scrutiny notice cannot be come without din.
Sir, I think all the questions have been answered, more or less. Sir, I have one small question, sir. Sir, transporter may or may not file GSTR1 and show RCM liability of recipient. For 17-18, GST on RCM was present in GSTR2A of the recipient. Now, can ITC be claimed in 22-23 on payment of GST and raising self-invoice, which will be a mismatch with date in GSTR2A, sir? I have asked this question.
बड़ा controversial question है, but I would say, बॉस अगर आप ITC इस पर ले लोगे आज ये कहकर कि मैं टैक्स पे कर रहा हूँ गवर्नमेंट को, तो फिर तो लिमिट्स के 60 डेज का या कोई मतलब ही नहीं. I am of that opinion, और शायद मैं इंडिया में इकलौता ऐसा व्यक्ति हूँ जो इस ओपिनियन में है that RCM liability has to be discharged more strictly because government has casted onus on you because they trusted you that you will pay in time. उनको भरोसा नहीं था वो पे करेगा, इसीलिए आप पर जिम्मेदारी डाली गई कि आप उसका पैसा कभी भी पे करें, मुझे 60 दिन में पैसा दे या उसको जिस दिन पैसा दे रहे हैं उस दिन मुझे पैसा दे. और अगर ये कहना कि बिकॉज आई एम इशूइंग सेल्फ इनवॉइस और आज सेल्फ इनवॉइस जनरेट करके मैं 4 साल बाद पे कर देता हूं तो मैं क्रेडिट ले लूं, तो ऐसे तो सारे केस में गवर्नमेंट के पास पैसा जा ही रहा था. मैं खुद देता या उसके थ्रू देता, गवर्नमेंट के पास तो पैसा जा ही रहा था. फिर तो सेक्शन 16 सेक्शन 4 की लिमिट भी छोड़ दो ना. बिकॉज आई एम इशूइंग सेल्फ इनवॉइस सिर्फ इसलिए मुझे क्रेडिट दे दो.
I have asked this question, sir, in all the forums, and I have got all different answers and different opinions. Many of them are of the opinion that yes, we can take the input. Many of them.
ठीक है, मैं तो कहता हूँ मैं इकलौता आदमी जो कह रहा है इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा.
Okay, sir.
और मुझे इस पे खुशी है कि मैं कह रहा हूँ कि इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा. See, when I wrote the book on fake invoices, and I wrote book on ITC way back in June 19. June 19 में मेरी बुक आई थी ITC and refunds पर. और जब मैंने फेक इनवॉइसेस पे बुक लिखी सितंबर 2021 में, तो काफी लोगों ने उसे क्रिटिसाइज करा बिकॉज माय ओपिनियन वाज कि सर वी हैव अ मैक्सिमम लायबिलिटी ऑफ 5 years. We have maximum liability of 5 years for GST fraud. अगर किसी ने 10 करोड़ का फ्रॉड करा और 100 करोड़ का फ्रॉड करा, 1000 करोड़ का फ्रॉड करा, we are having maximum liability of 5 years imprisonment. Can this continue? And I was criticized like anything. लेकिन आज जब आप गुड़गांव केस देखें तो जो बेल रिजेक्शन का सेशन कोर्ट का जजमेंट है उसमें उन्होंने कई सारी चीजें और कही है कि सर ये सेक्शन भी लगाओ, आईपीसी भी लगाओ. कहा है नहीं कहा? Whosoever has read it, they had said कि सर आईपीसी के ये सेक्शन भी लगाइए. So when we cannot live in isolation, and see today many of the cases when we see are coming for GST registration issues. You might also see बहुत सारे registration issues के cases आज हम हाई कोर्ट रिट्स में देखते हैं. Why people are approaching high courts? Why people are filing writs for registration? They are so much oppressed with the department. हाई कोर्ट कितने बड़े बड़े कामों के लिए बनी और हम किस लिए पहुंच जाते हैं उसके बाद, सर रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं चल रहा. And that is what GST has become after 5 years. सोच के देखिए. Over to you, sir.
Sir, thank you so much for this wonderful deliberation. I think most of the answers have been most of the questions have been answered. Sarojji, is there anything else we can go ahead with?
No, sir. I am personally and on behalf of Views Exchange very thankful to you because you have discussed in details each and every case law, and the material which you have given us will be shared among the friends, which will be used in future for their benefits. So I now request Naveen Singhal, our treasurer of Views Exchange, to offer a formal vote of thanks.
Sir's morning tweet was time to buy good pencil sharpener today to save amount of GST. Actually, I sir follow you every day, and Abhishek sir is actually a revolutionary Raja for all of us. Sir has covered various hot burning aspects in details and has deliberated on risk parameters so beautifully. Thank you, sir, for partnering in various battles for justice in GST and your views against portal problems. Thank you all the participants for being so participative. We will again come up with such hot burning topics. Stay connected. Thank you, all of you. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward again, sir. Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you, sir. I am stopping the recording now. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much.